Okay, so I'm going to do a post commentary of my most recent world record in Twilight Princess HD 80%. This is the 3:26:31. So anyways, first of all, we're gonna... I think I just decided to use the name link here instead of doing anything funny with the name. So, oh well. But anyways, as we get started, we're just gonna go ahead and go get Epona, and then work our way through the early game. Now, most of the early game is entirely glitchless. We just do it fast, more or less, up through the first third or so of Forest Temple. But yeah, until then, we're basically just playing the game more or less as normal. So, right here, we're gonna go through a little bit of grass, try to get some rupees. Unfortunately, got a little unlucky, didn't get anything. There are 3 guaranteed rupees in Ordon, though. Before Goats 1, I don't remember if I got them all. They're pretty easy to get, though. And then there's a couple lying around near the bridge. There's a 5 rupee on the way to the Hawk to get the carriage, so I did get all 3 there. And then there's 20 on top of the house, on top of Russell's house, I guess it is. And so basically, that'll get us up to 30 rupees to get the slingshots, and that's what we're trying to do here, along with just going through everything as fast as possible through Ordon Day 1 and Day 2. The Goats 1 is like pretty simple. I got a little unlucky with one of the goats here, so pretty solid, but not amazing or anything. But anyways, a good goat's time, I think, is usually like 135 or better for when the last goat goes in. I think I got a 135 with this run. So, you know, that's not too bad. So now here we're gonna get a save prompt and say no, of course. We're not gonna save unless we want to actually save warp, because there's no point. Speaking of saving, so you'll notice the split says any % amiibo. That's because every time I save warp on the title screen, I can place the amiibo down onto the bottom left corner of the gamepad. And essentially what that'll do is it'll load the preset file, so file 1 in this case, that slot, faster than actually opening the file and like starting it manually through the title screen. And that saves like 20 to 30 seconds throughout the run, somewhere in there. Anyway, so right here, we're gonna get up here, get the blue rupee, and then go ahead and get the Hawk to get the basket here. So how this goes, basically, is you get the basket, and then take it over to Russell's wife, I forget her name, and basically she gives you the fishing rod so that you can, the cat was over there on the bottom left, so that you can fish for the cat goes, and then you can get the slingshot, which is what the kids were wanting back there. And we can't advance the story unless we do all that, basically. So here we get the fishing rod. So we're gonna do a little mailbox jump to get on top of this house here. I don't remember if I got it first try. I did. It's fairly easy, but it can be a little finicky if you mess it up the first time, just because the camera angle is weird. So here I have 28 rupees. I didn't get lucky with some rupee drops, so I'm gonna have to grab a couple over by the house. There's 3 around here that you can grab, but I only need 2, so it's pretty fast. And so thankfully in this game they changed it so that you don't have to fish twice, you only have to fish once. And basically, as soon as you see any irregular movement, I know it didn't really look like the bobber moved there, but as soon as you see any irregular movement, you basically pull and it'll pretty much work. You just gotta get a feel for it. It is really interesting though, how sometimes I can know that it's pulling down though it doesn't look like anything's happening necessarily. It's kind of funny. I don't know. Anyways. So now we're gonna go ahead and go get the slingshot. And on the way, we're actually gonna get a milk bottle. Just for free, which is really nice because we're actually gonna need that later. Otherwise, we'd have to go out of our way to get like the oil bottle or something. We're gonna use that to skip Goron Mines later, or part of Goron Mines. The other part of Goron Mines we skip by doing other stuff. So a couple of mechanics I haven't talked about in this game yet. Right there, I equipped with the touchscreen. You could hear it equipping. So I equipped Slingshot to Y, unless I messed up the equip. No, I didn't. And so that's one of the nice things about HD. There's also shorter twilights, which is very nice. Gyro aiming and quick transforming. And all of those are really nice and save a good bit of time. But yeah, so now we're gonna go ahead and get the wooden sword. We could do the slingshot tutorial, then get the wooden sword, but it's faster to just do them together. It's faster by a few seconds, I think. You have to do both of them to be able to start the rest of Horde on day 2. The other thing I haven't mentioned, I think, is input buffering. So on frame 1, after coming out of like a loading zone or a cutscene or a pause, pretty much always you can buffer an input. So sometimes out of loading zones I'll be holding like forward and A like I did there, and that's so that I can get a nice easy free jump off the ladder without bonking. I don't know why that works there, but it does only if you do input buffering, as far as I can tell. But it's really nice. So I thought that was worth mentioning. And that's useful for like a lot of frame perfect things like mid-text skips, so that's nice. Anyways, so we just did the slingshot tutorial, now we're doing the sword tutorial. Obviously, both of these are completely scripted, so I don't even have to read the text box to see what they're trying to say. It's always slash, and then stab, and then spin attack and jump attack. We have a pretty solid run at this point. This early game is actually kind of crazy, so we'll see. For a while. Eventually it kind of drops off a little and isn't extremely crazy pace, but it was a very good start. So anyways, now we're going to go ahead and get on Epona. If you get on Epona from behind rather than from the side, you'll get a little boost. It's like a mini dash. If you're in an area where you can dash with Epona, it'll actually do a dash rather than that half dash thing. But yeah. So we're spacing out our dashes here to try to not have to wait as long for dashing to restore. It is faster to, once you have used all 5 out of 6 spurs, to go ahead and wait for it to fill all the way up, rather than like, using it out, backflipping off, and getting on Epona again. But anyways, what I did there is I had just enough speed to get to Koro and then start spamming A to talk to him. And I had to let go of the control stick so that I wouldn't jump over the thing. Yeah, so we can go ahead and pull out our lantern as we backflip off. That saves about 5 frames. Because we don't have to like manually pull it out. And so whenever you want your lantern for multiple things, you don't want to put it away because it takes an extra 5 frames to take it back out. So right here, for example, I'm saving 5 frames by not putting it away. Here I don't need it anymore, so I can go ahead and continue rolling. So, basically how this works is we just have to go get a small key up in this top right corner of the map, and then we can go through a gate and go save Tallow. Pretty simple. I think I got lucky here. Sometimes this Boko will do a horizontal swing, which will almost always hit you, but he did a vertical one, so I didn't get hit. That saves a little bit of time. Yeah, so this is the fastest way to go back to this area. I can't actually... I'm not sure if it's faster to go under the arch or to the right of the arch in HD, but both of them are relatively similar. So you're gonna go and pull our sword out because we want to do a jump slash later on. I don't know if I actually got it during this run though. Sometimes the spacing just doesn't work out on the rolls, so you don't get a good chance to jump attack here into the cutscene. Yeah, we can just ignore these bokos and roll all the way up here and then do a jump attack. So I did get the jump attack. That gives me some extra distance during the, like, while the cutscene's starting. So, to save the kid, you basically have to save Tallow. You have to do 4 slashes with the wooden sword on these guys, and then do a jump slash quick spin to break the cage. And if you do it in that order, this cutscene won't start until the bokos are actually dead. So that's why we do it that way rather than breaking the cage and killing them. Yeah. Anyways, so now we gotta span through a bunch of text. I don't think I mentioned the text mashing method. We kind of do, or at least I do, and a lot of other people do, ZR and B. So you kind of like lock ZR and your index finger and thumb like a certain distance and then move it back and forth more or less. But it's a really nice way of mashing, and it's much better in your arm than overhand mashing in my experience. Anyways, now we're going to do goats too. Don't know how I managed to roll past opponent there. So now we have 20 goats. Generally a good time here is a little over 20 seconds for the route I'm doing. Opponent controls are notably harder in HD than they are in SD, or clunkier, I guess. She doesn't turn as quickly. So that makes it harder to get really good times here. I think I somehow Houdini'd this goat to go into barn. Yeah, I did. Crazy. So what, this is a 22. It's pretty solid. There is another way to do that, where it's riskier and harder, but you save a couple seconds over that goat's route for both first and second goats. I just never did either of those because, again, opponent controls kind of weirdly, and I like actually getting runs out of Wardon. But anyways, we can go ahead and roll to Wardon, or yeah, Wardon Spring, so that we can enter sewers now. Unfortunately, Ilya has stolen our horse, and Tallow's gonna steal our sword. So that means we have to actually do sword and shield normally, rather than being able to keep the wooden sword, unfortunately. And in addition, we're gonna have to tame Epona later, which means we won't be able to ride Epona for a while. It's too bad. Now, if we could keep sword here, I believe we could do sword and shield skip. Because the only reason we don't do sword and shield skip is because we wouldn't have a sword otherwise. But to be fair, I'm kind of thankful that we don't have to do sword and shield skip, because there's not a whole bunch of good cues for HD at the moment. On SD, it's not all that bad, but HD would be a bit rough for the first while trying to win it. Anyways, so here we crawl through this crawl space. If we went up to the gate, we'd just be told, oh yeah, you have to go through the crawl space. So we just go ahead and go through the crawl space. Now we're going to go into sewers. This is going to unlock Wolf and Midna for us. And throughout sewers, we get all of Midna's abilities. If you could somehow skip sewers, it wouldn't be great, because there'd be a lot of things that you wouldn't have access to. Like senses and I think into jumping is also a thing from here. I don't quite remember though. Anyways. So yeah, still just fairly optimized normal movement. The nice thing about Wolf Link is you have a lot of time when you're still dashing at full speed where you can initiate another dash. So you don't have to like mash A quite as much as with rolling, or rather, well, I guess I don't mash A with rolling, but you don't have to like actually worry about timing rolls or anything. It's much easier to not lose time on dashes as Wolf Link compared to Human Link. Anyways, so we need to raise this water so that we can go over and then lower the water. I mean, it's basically just memorized route. I don't have to obviously do any exploration, because I already know the full route through this game. So something that you can do with Wolf Link, by the way, is if you jump off a ledge, or B attack, like within 12 frames, I think, after initiating a dash, you get what's called a dash cancel, so that you can immediately dash again. So you can use that to save a little time on some of this movement. So you'll see that in some places in the run. Some purposeful to save a good bit of time, some just because I feel like it. But yeah. So there is a mid-attack skip whenever I fell down into the water there, but I didn't jump far to the left enough, so oh well. I had a bad control stick here. I don't know if I was looking away or something. Anyways, so thankfully the ropes in this part through this tower is relatively tame. They're relatively tame, but whenever we come back here in this desperate hour, they're very annoying. But yeah. So right here we're gonna get a mid-attack skip. We're holding ZL and A as we mash start, that way we don't get a text up there. There's a lot of that. I don't know if we've seen one yet, but there's going to be a minute jump up here where we also hold ZL and A coming out of the last minute text before she starts moving, and that saves us a little time rather than having to wait for her to get all the way over there. We do an instant jump because of input buffering. So right here, there you go. Instant jump. Now we kind of want to like go diagonally up this rather than straight up the roof, because going straight up you lose a lot of speed. Another little input buffer there. There's a lot of those, so I'm not going to mention all of them. But I just wanted to point a few out so that you can kind of understand what's going on. Anyways, so now that we talked to Zelda, we can go ahead and get out of sewers. And this is very good sewers time at this point. A little jump attack here, get a little extra distance. Now we have to go ahead and get the sword and shield. In SD here, you would do sword and shield skip. We can technically do that in HD. It's not like they increased the size of the trigger to make it impossible or something. It's just that we need a sword later, and obviously we can't do early master sword, so that would be problematic, to say the least. So, anyways, so we get to talk to the squirrel, go ahead and do, I don't know what you call this, Ordon Night State, or whatever. So you do actually have to get this bird cutscene to be able to mid jump up to him. I think technically you can not have to mid jump up here, but I'm not sure if you'd be able to scare him away, so I don't know. And that's a pretty big air trigger there, so we don't actually have to land on the platform, which is really nice. Okay, so there's a ledge jump here with a mid jump that's really finicky. I think I did it in this run. Usually you take like a full step forward and then you'll be in perfect position. Yeah, so I got it. But if you're like a little off on positioning, sometimes you'll just not grab the ledge. Okay, so there's a mid text after this shield. If you jump attack it, like with an input buffer here, you won't get the text, but that also won't spawn the sword, which is exactly what we need, so... obviously that's suboptimal to skip the text there. I've done it a couple times just experimenting, and then I realized, oh crap. Actually, I think it did it only once, but you get the idea. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get the sword now. And the text after this will go ahead and spawn the trigger to get the portal. You can skip this by jump attack and save warp in midair, but it doesn't save any time, and you'd have to do sword and shield skip, which is not ideal. I think it would be slower at this point anyways, so... don't have Bend to charge here yet, so the fastest way to kill this one Shadow Beast is going to be 2 spin attacks, so that's what I'm going to do. And that's that portal. So if you're a fan of the, since I still have a little downtime here, if you're a fan of the SD speedruns, you may know that they, well, there's several things that they do here that we can't do. For example, we can't do early Master Sword. The other thing that we can't do is we can't just get the boomerang and leave Forest Temple, because you actually need to beat Forest Temple in order to put Farm Woods in the state that you can get the bridge. So while we could do Far Escape with a boomerang LJA, it's still impossible to continue, because we can't do Gorge Void and get over the gorge. There's no way to do Back in Time equipped. So we still have to actually finish Forest Temple. Thankfully it doesn't take that long, but it's a little annoying. We also have to finish Far on Twilight, but it's also not too bad, because, and I'm saying also a lot. It's not too bad because pretty short. It's a lot shorter than in SD, because you get tiers much faster, and there's fewer of them. So, yeah. So now we just got Minute Charge. I'm like, definitely since we don't have early Master Sword, Minute Charge is strictly required to beat the game. Even if you could skip this, which I think might be possible with low percent or something, you still have to give Minute Charge. So you have to at least do part of that fight to go get back on Midna and get the Minute Charge. Anyways, we're gonna close out of that map there with pressing up on the D-pad. Just faster than pressing the P to cancel out of it very slowly. So yeah, you'll see in HD we can collect tiers much faster. They're immediately collectible, unlike in SD where you had to wait a while, and they didn't move towards you in SD. In HD they do, which is really, really nice. Very nice quality of life improvement. Okay, so right here we're going to do a little Minute Charge, and then as soon as we let go of it, we're going to press X, and that's going to make it so that Koro can't talk to us. Normally he would have some text here. Unfortunately I didn't get both tiers, but it's not too bad. So I guess I should mention the reason we can't do early Master Sword. There are two reasons, really. The first is that the swing, like the slow swing, got removed from the game, so that it's really hard to get the super jump up the ledge. Second thing is that they put ridiculously high walls all around the area because they really didn't want anybody doing early Master Sword in this game. So I got a 1-frame dash there, so I didn't have to wait as long. It's nice. So this area is on a cycle here, so I just need to kind of move a little fast to make the earliest cycle. I don't remember if I actually did the cycle. I think I do. First cycle is usually not that bad to get. But yeah, the cycle I'm talking about is the log that's coming up here. And I think each cycle is like a couple seconds or something. But you'll see here we don't have to wait at all. Unfortunately, I missed that bug, so I'm gonna just fix that with a quick extra Minute Charge and a jump attack to grab this here. It was like really nice ad-libbing to do that jump attack. I don't think I would have gotten it if I had just tried to run by it. Yeah, I try to get that Shadow Beast away from the wall if he's staring at the wall. One thing you'll notice with the Minute Charge is that it's predictable which order, you'll attack the Shadow Beast Sin, so you can use that to your advantage to like try not to crash into walls early in the mini charge. So you just have to do some quick mental geometry. And yeah, so basically the order is more or less, no, it is, the last one that you target is the one that you jump at first, and then you go backwards in that order, essentially. So if you do 1, 2, 3, you attack them in order 3, 2, 1. We're gonna do backflip here to skip some text. Now we have to go get a key, because you'll notice the gate here is locked. Yeah, we're still just doing basically just casual stuff at this point. We haven't really skipped anything. It's all just movement, which is why it's usually pretty consistent. One thing I didn't note is it is technically possible to skip Ordon Day 1 and most of Ordon Day 2 by clipping with Epona through the foreign, like Ordon Bridge Gate, I guess, with Epona. They made it harder in HD, but it's still possible. It's slower because we have to do some really convoluted process to get Fishing Rod later in the run, which is only possible to do in HD if you skip Ordon Day 1 and part of Ordon Day 2. But if we could do that fast, then we would do that and then do Bokoblin pushing to save Tallow, and they would break the cage for us. Anyways, I'm gonna try to collect rupees during this escort here. And you'll notice the monkey, we try to push it a little to save a bit of time and kill the keys at a time so that we don't lose a bunch of time. But it's kind of RNG. The monkey can either swing 1 full cycle or 2, and obviously we want 1 as much as possible. So, anyways. The reason that we have to get the Fishing Rod, by the way, the reason we can't skip Ordon Day 1 and 2, specifically, is that we need the Fishing Rod later. So, essentially, so we could get the Coral Earring from Brawless without having the Fishing Rod, but it wouldn't give us the Fishing Rod and Coral Earring, which we need to get the Reek Fish to be able to go to Snow Peak. Since we don't have Map Glitch, we can't Map Glitch our way up, and we have to actually get the sun. But more or less, there's like a long string of things that we can't skip because of Snow Peak. It's like 20 minutes of stuff, probably. Which is really annoying, so if anybody could find a way to get Ball and Chain without going to Snow Peak, I'd be very much interested to know. Anyways, now we got a pretty good monkey escort. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the lantern, then steal some oil from the bird so that we can get into the Forest Temple. So we're gonna go ahead and slash these guys once. We don't actually have to kill them, but we're slashing them so that this other Boko here will aggro and move towards us, which saves a bit of time. So we went ahead and stole some lantern oil there. Now we can go ahead and get Finishing Blow. So we don't have to worry about getting a Howling Stone later like SD does, because we don't skip this wolf. It should be noted that you do need Finishing Blow at some point in order to beat Ganondorf. So in SD, they have to get any wolf at all, because the wolves always give the skills in order. So if you don't have Finishing Blow, the first wolf will do the Finishing Blow. But obviously we can't skip this wolf as it is, so nor would we want to. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get Indiglo now then. This is the only hidden skill we get in the run, though. It's only like 5 more minutes until we see the first glitch of the run. That's nice, I guess. So, basically how Forest Temple works is the game wants you to get all 4 monkeys to go get Ook. SD does back in time equipped to get boss flags here, so that they don't have to get any of the monkeys, but unfortunately we can't do that because we don't have back in time equipped. And so what that means is we would have to get all 4 monkeys, but there is a trick where if you have 2 monkeys and therefore can get to the West Wing, you can get to the boomerang room by going through some bridges backwards. And like clipping into them. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a roll staff jump spin. Here to kill the spider as fast as possible, light the torches. Now we do have to get the cutscene first of all, so that the camera won't be weird in other rooms, but also because the monkey will not let us into East Wing until we get this cutscene. There's a little swag strat here that's kind of fun to do. If you jump attack right before the cutscene, you'll slowly fall in midair. It's always fun to do. Anyways. Yeah. And the monkey's in that locked door over there. But we need to actually get the key, so we're gonna go get the key. So yeah, this room would have like a really weird camera angle acting funky if we didn't get the bridge cutscene. I don't remember what exactly caused that, it's just really weird. Or, I guess I do know what causes it, it's the not having played the Ook cutscene. I don't know why it does that though. Anyways, now that we have the small key, we can go back and get the second monkey. And I'm gonna be hoping for a few rupees since I'm still short. I'm gonna be hoping for some rupees from the goblins. I need 10 before beating Linear Twilight, or else I lose time. We're gonna do a little jump slash past this spider. You don't actually have to shoot it down with a slingshot. Now, if you do get hit by it and fall down, there are some vines on that platform there that you can climb up rather than having to go all the way back around and try to jump past the spider again. Just a nice backup. Anyways, the fastest way to kill goblins is to do 2 slashes, just horizontal slashes, so that you hit both of them at the same time. 2 slashes with the Ordon sword will kill. They're dead now. So, we did get rupees, so now we're good on rupees, which is good. Now, one thing to note about these monkey cutscenes here, you do not want to move the C-stick before the cutscene, or if you do, you want to target before the cutscene happens, so that you get your camera back to normal. Otherwise, you'll get a really weird angle coming out of the jump, and you can't predict what angle will be that you need to jump at, generally speaking. Same goes for this upcoming room. We're jumping over to West Wing. Right here, you'll notice it's faster for me to not actually use the monkey to jump back to the central platform. But you'll notice I didn't move the C-stick in that room. That way I get the straightforward view on the monkey. Otherwise it would be whatever the camera was facing previously, and I would have rolled and jumped off the platform in some random direction. Now normally you would get the other 2 monkeys here, but we're just gonna go ahead and go straight this way. Usually this is the way that you get back from the room, but we're gonna go backwards. So, talking a minute here, we'll turn the bridge while the wind is moving. So we can sort of target roll on the side of this bridge and clip into it. There's an invisible wall while the bridge is still moving so that you can't jump across. I don't know why. So it makes it so you can't just side hop. You actually have to clip into the bridge. But here, there is no such thing. For, again, whatever reason. I have no idea why. So we can just side hop onto this bridge. And go ahead and go to... And that saves about 2.5 minutes over getting the other 2 monkeys. I think it might be a little more than that. I forget, though. So we want, I think that was 3 jumps. We want Ook to do as few jumps as possible. So this takes 2 cycles. And ideally, you get 2 jumps on each cycle. But average is about like 5 jumps per cycle, something like that. I got really lucky here. I got only 5 total jumps, which is incredible. Yeah, I got a 36:30 on this boomerang split, which ties for my best ever boomerang time. Just really, really good. So we're gonna go ahead and save warp after we get this boomerang, because it's slower to work back the intended way, using the boomerang to get back to the main room so that we can get the boss key. So, yeah, we'll see the first save warp of the run, and you'll see what it looks like when I do an amiibo save warp, more or less. The amiibo starting in the file, I guess. I don't know what to call it exactly. So again, I put the Wolflink amiibo on the bottom left corner of the screen here, and it'll just instantly start the file from the title screen rather than having to like go into file select. Anyways, now that we have the boomerang, we've unlocked the ability more or less to do boomerang long jump attacks. So essentially how those work is, if the boomerang is over a void, or out of bounds, in other words, over a void, essentially, or if it is, what am I saying, if it's above higher ground than you, and you're targeting it, which the game will automatically target it, and you pull out your sword and just press A to do a jump attack, you don't have to actually target because the game is already targeting something, then you get really far distance jump attack. You don't gain extra height, you just get further distance. Anyways, I did a couple strats there to jump over the fence rather than having to go all the way around. Just this nice, did a little thing to save a bit of time on the boomerang puzzle as well. And so anyways, basically what we can do with an LJA is there's normally like an impassable gap in the room prior to the boss so that you have to get all 8 monkeys. I think it's 8. But we don't need to do that actually, because we can just LJA over the void and not have to worry about any of that. We're gonna see the first LJA of the run right here. So we can go ahead and LJA over to this platform and then jump attack up these ledges here to get enough height so that we can LJA over to the boss room. It's really sweet. That's the last LJA for a while, but you can already see how broken this is and how much we're going to be able to use this in later dungeons to save a lot of time. It's really nice. I'm glad they left it in for HD, otherwise this would be bothersome to run. So here we're going to do a trick called Hoopless. We're going to go ahead and kill this left head, and then we're going to target the left bomb, the middle bomb, to let them come to us, and we're going to target the right bomb and the right head. Kill the right head. So what this is going to do is basically we're going to have 2 leftover bombs going in the second phase. so that you don't have to actually get any bombs from Ook, so go figure, the trick is called Ookless. It saves 35 or so seconds. I mean, it's a little less, I guess, depending on what strat you do. But the way I do it, it's very fast. Really nice. There is a midway strat where you don't lose all 35 or 40 seconds, though. If you don't want to do full Ookless. But it's not too bad if you practice it. We're doing some precise... Well, not really precise, but like... It's like unnatural and weird-looking bomb shenanigans. In order to preserve the bombs and get both hits on this guy. It looks really impressive. It's really not that hard. It's just the movements feel unnatural at first whenever you're learning it. Anyways, this guy's gonna try to give us heart container, but we're no wusses. We're gonna go and skip that heart container. In all seriousness, heart containers generally take somewhere between 3 and 5 seconds to grab. I never really ever need this one, even for safety. I pretty much never die anywhere else, so I don't see the point of grabbing this heart container ever. So anyways. Also, this is one of the longer heart containers to get. This one is, I believe, the full 5 seconds, whereas Arbiter Grounds is 3 seconds, I think, and City, which I will also grab, is 4 seconds, I think. Anyways, this voice temple time, I'm just gonna be honest here, this is insanely ridiculous. 4143 is just crazy. But anyways. Again, unfortunately, we don't have Epona here, so while we can not have the LJA out of Faron, because the minute trigger to try to turn us back is gone, we can't quickly get over to Eldon, which is unfortunate. It also means that we can't enter Eldon as human by clipping out of balance and going into Kakariko that way, because we need Epona to be able to do that. There's also no good setup for clipping out of bounds in South Faron Field, or South Hyrule Field, I don't know what to call it. There's too many Hyrule Fields, so the naming scheme gets really weird. I usually call this Faron Field, I think. Anyways, we're just gonna roll over to the Elden Trigger and then go in that way. There is a mailman skip you can do here by going around the wall to the side, but you have to skip the mailman twice and it doesn't save that much time, so I just never go for it. This is Postman, the American hero. The man, the myth, the legend himself, here to deliver us mail. I think that's one of 2 times we get mail in the room. You only have to get mail the 1 time. Or at least... I guess you could... Yeah, I think you do actually have to get mail once. After Linear Twilight. You can delay it by doing a couple skips, but you eventually have to get them because there's no real good way to skip them coming back to get Iron Boots. So you'd have to do so many skips at that point that it would not be worth it at all. There's one that we get on purpose. This one I just always choose to get, so anyways. So now we're going to do Elden Twilight. Now you might notice that it takes me 10 minutes to get to Elden Vessel, and you might be thinking, that seems like a long time to get to Elden Vessel, since all you have to do is warp the bridge back after you get map warp from killing the Shadow Beasts. Which, by the way, is where you get map warp. The reason for that is because we're not actually going to immediately go get the bridge. As you'll see in a bit. Fortunately, I got a little unlucky with that Shadow Beast fight, so I lost a little bit of time. Now, in SD here, you'd want to jump attack the Void, and we can do that frame perfectly with an input buffer in HD, but it's completely useless, of course, because there's no way to get across the gorge without getting the bridge, unless you have EMS or Back in Time equipped. So anyways, you'll notice we warped to South Faron. That's because we actually want to go back to Faron Field, rather than getting the bridge immediately. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to clip through the western gate in Faron Field in order to get into Linear Twilight the unintentional way, or like unintended way. Not unintentional, it is intentional, but it's not the way the devs intended, of course. And that way we can just go straight into the bridge cutscene rather than having to run all the way across Linear Twilight later. Which is nice. It saves about 30 seconds. There is a lot of wolf movement that you have to do dashing, but it is less than going through Linear Twilight the intended way. So you used to have to do this with Epona, but once it was found with Wolf, it was implemented in the HD, so that we don't have to have Epona to do this clip. It's really nice. Anyways, we're gonna do like a slight angle to the gate and then side hop through after B attacking. The game is going to put us into a cutscene here. It should be noted that if you press A here rather than skip, you have to watch the full cutscene. So do not press A. Anyways, now we get to jump down here and go ahead and do around half of Linear Twilight pre-vessel. Well, I guess it's most of the pre-vessel Linear Twilight stuff. So it's pretty much half of Linear Twilight, which is always nice. Do we have to talk to Fire here in order for the bird to be able to spawn? Then we can do a little fight here. Now you are subject to the whims of a bit of RNG on the number of arrows he shoots and the pattern the bird flies around after he's done shooting. But otherwise this fight is really consistent. Basically you just want to stand on this hill, attack him, and that'll backflip you off onto the hill. And you want to do a backflip, like manually, and then jump attack again. And because you gain height by doing a backflip, you have enough height to jump attack, grab him the second time, so you don't have to wait for the second cycle. Which is really nice, it saves like 15 seconds or something. Now, I had kind of bad luck through this segment so far. Not completely terrible. So, it's a pretty good indicator of how the segment normally goes. Right here we're going to do an out of bounds. You know, kind of line up Minna's head with the bottom of that triangle there. And then you just kind of have to know the timing for when to start to dash. And then you kind of hold, I think it's down left more or less, and you clip out of bounds. I say I think because there's a bunch of controls where if you ask me how to do the trick, I actually wouldn't know how to do it unless I like actually did it from muscle memory and then tried to record what I did, because half of these tricks I'm just doing what I remember to do. Rather than like thinking about my inputs per se. So it is funny because like sometimes I can't explain a trick to people without thinking really hard about it. So that was one of those things, kinda. Anyways, do another text skip here. And go ahead and go to Zora's Domain. The whole purpose of this, of course, is to get the Zora's Domain portal. So that we can, once we go into Linear Twilight the intended way, we can just immediately warp in the meteor. Which is good. Because that means we don't have to do all of the running across Hyrule Field. So I held back a little there so that I wouldn't slide off the ledge and have to climb up. It's just one of those minor optimizations that is not obvious that I'm doing, but it's there. It's just another normal Shadow Beast fight. Normally how these work is basically I kill one of them that's out of the way, and then I kill at least 2 of the remaining ones that I kill 2 of them at the same time. Should be noted, the only way to kill Shadow Beasts, except for the first Shadow Beast, the first one, like in Ordon Spring, you can kill by just doing enough damage. But every time you want to kill the last Shadow Beast in the group, if you are a wolf, you have to do it as mid charge. If you're a human, you have to do it as spin attack. There's no other way to actually kill him. Don't know why they designed it that way, they just did. That's the thing. So now we can go ahead and warp this bridge back. The whole reason we had to beat Forest Temple is so that we could warp this bridge back. So, now we did that, we can go ahead and do this. And get Elden Vessel. There's no real tricks that we can do in Elden Twilight. Just like small optimizations in movement. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. There is one trick that we could theoretically do, but it's incredibly precise on HD. Especially without having notches. It's really rough to do. I'm talking about Wolf Bomb House Skip. But basically you can jump across a, I don't know what to call it, the railing, I think, and use that to get over to a spot that's outside of the trigger for the first bug to start moving, and then you kill the bug before he gets into the bomb house. And it is possible, but you have to hold exactly straight forward, which is why it's basically impossible without notches. The other thing is that you have to be really far back on the railing whenever you initiate the dash to do the jump, because you have to have time to build up speed. In SD, that is not the case. So yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and go down into the basement to get a few bugs. There is no graveyard bug in HD, so we can just, once we're done with these bugs, just warp back out to Kakariko Village portal, and just go ahead and go straight to the second bug. Which is nice. I suppose if we could clip into the basement from the graveyard, that would be faster, but there is no way to do that in HD. Especially since we don't have EMS. So that's unfortunate. We kind of just maneuver our positioning here so that the bug goes onto the top of the thing. Unfortunately, I get really bad luck. And get trolled by the pods, and then the bug jumps off, which is another troll thing, so I lose a good bit of time there, but generally he doesn't jump off the ledge whenever you're climbing back up there, so if you manipulate him to get up on the ledge whenever he jumps out of the chimney, then you'll be able to get him on the way out, which is really nice. So I tried to, back there, I was trying to do, whenever I did the 3B attacks, I was trying to do a dash cancel. Unfortunately, I was playing sloppy at this point, so I didn't hit it very well. But, it's whatever. We can do a little double jump to get through the window. Yeah, there's really not much in the way of like, real tricks that we have to do in early game. There's like a couple things in the end of Forest Temple and then Gate Clip and Krug out of bounds, but otherwise, you know, the entire early game up through really the end of Linear Twilight is just movement. So it tends to be really consistent. Except for Linear Twilight, which I suck at Linear Twilight for whatever reason. So yeah, if you could do Wolf Bomb House Skip, you wouldn't have to actually go into this bomb house. Hence why it's called Bomb House Skip. Basically what happens is you kill the bug and then start crawling into the house. And then as you crawl into the house disappears, and the tears will be sitting there. I think if you could pull it off, it would save about 30 seconds, maybe, depending on how you did it. So yeah. Nobody goes for it, though, because it's pretty much impossible to hold exactly straightforward. I'm serious, though, if you hold even... So basically, up and down have values of 128 and negative 128, respectively. And the only way to hold 128, I believe, is to hold exactly straight up and not hold anything to the side at all. Besides, even if you could, if you hold to the side at all, it won't work. You get that perfect positioning, a perfect angle, and hold exactly straight up. And it's basically impossible to do RTA without some different setup. So, nobody goes for it. I think that's the last thing that would ever get implemented out of the hard tricks that people don't tend to do. The others being Death Sword Skip and Aralfo's Skip. Both of which I think are actually somewhat feasible if you practice them enough. I don't do either of them in this run, though. And those combine for almost a minute of time save for the route I do. It's just, you know, they're relatively deep into the run as tricks. And so I tend not to go for them because I like finishing runs. To each their own. So I missed early wind cycle there. If you do the Shadow Beast movement and the tear collecting movement there pretty much perfectly, you will save about 3 seconds by not having to wait for the wind cycle, which is really nice. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it. So despite a few mistakes up to this point, I mean, the run is no longer amazing, but this is still pretty good through this spot. Usually I like to be about a minute behind golds at the end of Linear Twilight. So this is a decent pace to be able to get that. So we want to go to Elden Field and then do a trick to get into Linear Twilight before having the bombs, which would require beating Goron Mines. So both of those things involve Epona, so we have to get Epona. In order to get Epona, we have to trigger this Goron's text and then go back into Kakariko Village, where there's like a little backflip quickspin so that we can just walk out of the cutscene here. Save a couple seconds. Yeah, that makes it so that Renato will talk to us whenever we exit, and then we can roll into the Epona cutscene here and tame Epona. The Epona taming thing, where you have to like hold different directions, is all scripted, which is really nice, because if you had to react, it would be horrible. Especially since I think the window to start holding left at the beginning is really kind of small. So if you don't know that it's coming immediately, you might fall off at the beginning. Anyways, so normally, in order to get into Linear Twilight, even though you can go to Elden Field this early, normally what you'd have to do is there's some rocks there in the way of getting to the trigger for getting into Linear Twilight. And so that would require getting some sort of explosives or ball and chain, which we can't get ball and chain at this point around. And there's also no way for us to get explosives without beating Goron Mines. So essentially what we'd have to do is we'd have to then go back to Iron Boot, go back to Gordon to get Iron Boots, and then have to do King Bulblin 1 skip, which would be a total pain. That way we can go to the Goron Mines, and then beat Goron Mines in order to get the bombs, and then come out here and blow up the rocks and go to Linear Twilight. You'll notice I'm not doing that. And that's because we're going to do a little trick called Fire Skip, which was found a few months after the game came out by Dragonbane. Which is really nice, because for the first while, we did actually have to attempt King Bulblin 1 skip or just eat the King Bulblin 1 fight and do all of the mines, which was a total pain in the ass. Pardon my French. Basically how this works is as soon as we walk off the ledge, we press the milk button. This only works with drinkable items. If you do like a lantern oil, it will not work. Yeah, we kind of line ourselves up with this portal once we get down to the bottom without voiding, and all of the triggers for entering Twilights are air triggers. So even though we're way below the ground, we can still enter this cutscene and get into Linear Twilight. So, there is a reason why that trick is called Fire Skip and not Goron Mine Skip. The reason for that basically being that initially it could not skip the entirety of Goron Mines. It could only skip Fires. And we'll get into that a little bit later. For now, we're gonna go ahead and get this meteor, which we can't get until beating Elden Twilight anyways, so we definitely have to beat Elden Twilight. Even if there was a way to skip it, we would still have to beat it to get this meteor. That way we can warp it back to Zora's Domain, melt the ice, and actually do all of Linear Twilight, which is what was blocking us from continuing in Linear Twilight earlier. There's a glitch called Devil Glitch here, which nobody has really been able to recreate, where you get like a weird looking non-cutscene, and the meteor it just can't melt the ice. We don't know why exactly it happens. If anybody figures it out, mention it, for sure, because that's very important. Because if we can replicate that in other areas, then we could potentially wrong warp to like Palace of Twilight, right before the boss room or something like that. As it is right now, we don't understand that glitch. Now that we have the water, we can go and get Linear Vessel and do Linear Twilight. So I guess now is a good time to talk about why Fire Skip is called Fire Skip and not Goron Mine Skip. That's because in order to beat... Well, it's because of a lot of reasons, so I'll say them in order. We have to beat Lake Bed in order to get the Master Sword, in order to do the rest of the game. Because we can't progress the story further without getting Master Sword, essentially. So, basically, what we have to do is we have to beat Lake Bed. Now, since we don't have really Master Sword, even if we could get into Lake Bed through some means of not drowning and getting in, which would be theoretically possible even without water bombs, we would not be able to save warp through the beginning tunnel of Lake Bed, and so we would drown. And that would be unfortunate, because there's a flag from Master Sword where if you save warp, it'll put you out of the water in Lake Bed for whatever reason, but that is not the case with Master Sword. Unfortunately, I blocked here. And so that means that we also have to get Zora armor. And so since we need to get Zora armor, that means that we need to get past King Bulblin 2. And at the time, the only known ways of getting past King Bulblin 2 were to get a bomb bag, which the only way we knew to get that at the time was beating Wherein Mines, or to get Bow. And so the old route, like the first route with Fire Skip, had to get Bow, and then like Uku'd out of Wherein Mines with the Bow in order to beat King Bulblin 2. So even though it was using Fire Skip, it didn't save that much time, honestly. Yeah. Eventually, we did actually find a way to skip all of Wherein Mines by doing the Epona clip, and then helping Isa with the Boomerang and Bomb Bag in order to get a Bomb Bag instead. So we did all that after beating Linear Twilight, so that we could kill King Bulblin 2 with bombs, and therefore get Zora armor. But, that was also very slow and a painful route, because a lot of runs would die in what was colloquially known as the Gauntlet. That was a series of 3 ultra-hard tricks in a row, those being Epona, helping Isa with Gale, and King Bulblin 2 with bombs, and then that was followed by an immediate like Bow RNG fest. So very few runs ever really got past that point without losing a good amount of time. But anyways, eventually, it's like a little over a year ago now, Mr. Min found the current King Bulblin 2 skip, which basically, I did say we have to get past King Bulblin 2. We don't actually have to beat him, because if you can void out in the area before King Bulblin 2, I know this is very complicated, if you can void out in the area before King Bulblin 2, you appear on the other side of him during the escort, and so you can just continue the escort at that point. And so the only way we knew of doing that previously was getting on top of the wagon and then using a bomb boost with, I think, backslice in order to get enough height to get up onto a ledge and get out of bounds to void. But obviously we couldn't do that on HD, or, well, at least it would defeat the purpose and be really slow. So yeah. Mr. Min found a way of clipping out of bounds that doesn't require any of that, because we get pushed out of bounds by Epona. It's confusing, because some people call that a Epona clip, which I find weird, because the original Epona clip was actually a Epona clip. But anyways, that's the long story of how we fully eliminated Wherein Mines and didn't have to lose a bunch of time eliminating it out of the run. So it's really nice. We don't have to do any of that now. But that's basically the entirety of like all of the route changes in HD, more or less, or at least all of the recent ones pretty much have been just trying to deal with not having early Master Sword. And all of the like bad things following because of that. So, yeah. Anyways, I haven't been talking about the Twilight much. Most of this stuff is self-explanatory. It's just movement, some fights against Shadow Beasts, a few bug manipulations, stuff like that. Fairly simple stuff. They go in here to get a bug. Really out of the way, but they do this to force you to get the Castle Town portal. Which, you know, whatever. It's still nice that HD doesn't have several bugs that are annoying to get that SD does have. And though we have this bug, and go ahead and warp back to Lake Hylia and get these Zora's River bugs. The reason we do these last is because we, it just puts us in a really nice position. Because if you get all the tiers here and then voiding will put you right next to the second to last bug that we're gonna get, which will in turn put you right next to where you need to swim to do the boss bug fight. So, you know, it is still possible to do the Kargak out of bounds here. It just loses time, so obviously we're not going to go for it. Yeah. So again, just going to grab these last few bugs, and then go ahead and void the second to last bug, and then fight the boss bug. So we're almost to the part of the run where we start doing like more entertaining, glitchy trick type stuff. It's more fun to watch, but still got a bit more of just mostly glitchless movement. So again, we go ahead and get this last bug, and we can fight the boss bug. So there's a way to save a little bit of time on this boss bug fight by interrupting his charges and attacking him before he has to back up and charge again. You'll see what I mean. Basically, I think it saves like 15 seconds if you get both of them. I don't remember if I got both of them or not, though. I probably missed one, if I'm being honest. Let's see, that's how it looks. And you want to do that for both cycles. So it's a double backflip, and then once he gets close to you, you jump attack him with a stun, wait for him to rise up a little so that you can actually grab. Because if he's too low, then you'll just be knocked off immediately. You can go ahead and get the hits in. So I did get both of them. Then there's one more thing that we can do here, where we go ahead and mid-charge and bonk into his back leg there. Because for some reason, bonking and doing that will automatically just kill him. Or like immediately kill him. Rather than you actually having to hit all of them. I'm not quite sure why that is, but apparently it's a thing. So, yeah, sub 113. It's a pretty good time. Like I said, I generally like to be about a minute off golds here, so it's still a pretty good time. So now we're gonna go do the King Bull Wind skip, the aforementioned King Bull Wind skip. Again, shoutouts to Mr. Min for making this run good again. This gauntlet made the run not as chill, because you couldn't really do no resets and expect to get consistent times like you can now. So now it's much easier to not get quite as frustrated and actually finish runs. So if we didn't have 10 rupees here, there's a 20 rupee above fire that we could use the boomerang to get and then jump slash through to skip the text. But it obviously loses a little time to have to get. Do a little side hop over the ladder here. Nice little swag strat. So in the previous route, the one with Gauntlet, right here, we would go ahead and actually go to North Hyrule Field in order to clip it out of bounds and do a series of like height gains out of bounds in order to get up to Zora's Domain, which is normally locked behind a bombable rock. And that way we could go up there and get a bomb bag from Isa by helping her. But obviously we don't have to do that anymore. We can just on a slide and roll into this cutscene. Is that the first opponent slide in the run? I think that might be. Because I don't think I've talked about opponent slides yet. Basically how those work is, so you hold ZR, pause, and then press A while letting go of ZR. Right, so you only hold A coming into pause, so you're buffering the A, so it'll be frame perfect. And so if you press pause then, and while holding A still, you'll do that little slide thing, because it's trying to like dismount you and backflip at the same time. So opponent keeps moving because it thinks you're backflipping. It also allows you to dismount while you're moving, so you retain speed, I guess. Not exactly sure why it works. It just does. And it's really nice for retaining speed up like stairs and downstairs and everywhere basically that you can't bring Epona, that you'd want to retain the speed of Epona. So we use it a few times throughout the run. Now you can do it unbuffered, but it's not like super easy unless you're just really good at that. I know there's some people that can do it unbuffered really well, but I'm not very good. Now, I believe I failed this here because I think opponent's too far forward and too far away from the wall. So yeah, I went ahead and climbed up the ledge, which is not supposed to happen if you have the position right. So I'm going to go ahead and back up and try to get opponent up closer to the wall. And then get back forward to my queue. Slide up in between opponent and the wall and clip out of bounds. So unfortunately that was not good, but run's still decent at this point. Run, and we can continue on with the route. So we only really have to do half of Escort, because we can skip the second half of it. But in the part where it's basically a, what is it called? When it's basically on rails, when it's an auto-scroller, that's the word. We just try to collect rupees, pretty much. So you'll see I purposefully go through some grass that's mostly on the way in order to get some rupees. So we're gonna go ahead and kill a couple of these guys so that they won't start burning the cart. That way we don't have any problems with leaving the cart behind. Now if the cart is burning by the time you're already in Kakariko Gorge, you should be fine. As long as it doesn't start burning until around then. Because you can just leave the cart behind at this point, or the wagon. Because there's no triggers on the ground to turn you back anymore. You can just leave it behind. I guess there is one trigger to turn you back after this gate up here, but you can just OJA over that, because you can line up right next to the wall and have the boomerang go out of bounds. Now the boomerang, whenever it's like at the edge of its throw, it'll go left to right, so you can always use that to your advantage to get it to go out of bounds like that. We can just jump over that the mid trigger, but we don't have to turn back, and then we can just go ahead and go get the Zora armor, which is very nice. Now we have to skip this cutscene here because we never actually went here in Elven Twilight, which is kind of amusing. And we do have to go right around that gravestone that I went right around, because otherwise Tella won't move forward and she'll call you back. There's a funny little Rutella thing we can do here by going forward and back, and then she saves us a little time by calling us out into the open. We'll teleport. And yeah, so now we get the Zora armor. We can do Lake Bed, and then move on with the rest of the run. most of the run after getting the Master Sword is similar to SD's run. I mean, I think it's the exact same once we get to City. So, yeah. Blessed is Tao. Even though we have Zora armor and could get into Lake Bed, we won't actually be able to beat Lake Bed without getting Iron Boots, because we need to be able to... I think we could do everything except for... Yeah, actually, I don't think we'd be able to get the Toad, necessarily. Unless we got boss flags from something. I don't think there would be anything that we could get that from at this point in the game. So, don't mind me. We wouldn't be able to get the Deku Toad, and we wouldn't be able to beat Morpheal. Because you either need bombs and Zora armor, and boots, or bombs and iron boots in order to get into the Deku Toad fight in HD. So, obviously the bombs are really out of the way to get right now, so we're gonna opt for the iron boots. And besides, we're gonna need the iron boots anyways later in the run, not just for Deku Toad. There's a good number of things you need iron boots for, so I don't think it'll ever be skipping runs. Postponed, perhaps, but not skipped. If you could postpone Iron Boots until after getting Master Sword, for example, because you could warp directly to, Orbon Spring, that might be a good time to do it, but obviously we can't postpone it that long, so it is what it is. Now, you'll notice I didn't save warp after getting Zora armor, because presumably that should take you to the main part of Kakariko Village and save a little bit of time getting back to Epona. The reason I don't do it is because, for whatever reason, in the last few routes in HD, including this one, you save warp there, it'll actually put you back out of the side of the Zora Escort, and I have no idea why that is. So, obviously that loses a lot of time, because you have to very slowly work your way back to Bo. And that's not very good. Now we can go ahead and fight Bo. Bo is completely RNG and routinely causes 20-second time losses if you get unlucky. I've had some runs where he's knocked me off the thing twice though, which is hilarious. Basically how this works is from his initial spot, if you slap him and it connects, and then you mash A fast enough, then you can knock him off. Otherwise, you have to take 2 cycles minimum to knock him off the platform. Unfortunately, I'm getting bad luck here. But yeah. Other than the fact that slapping has the chance to 1 cycle, mashing A just to grab him is more likely to work. Now you'll notice Link looks like he has a weird dark beard. That's just some leftover shading from the Zora armor. The game doesn't expect to have to take that off, because it doesn't expect you to wear Zora armor at this point, so it just looks weird. But yeah, now we can get the iron boots. And now that we have iron boots, we can go ahead and go back to lake bed. Or go to lake bed. We haven't been there yet. And so since we've done escort, we can just go back west from Faron Field. And then go into Lake Hylia from the whole Brick Ridge area. And the fastest way we can do that is to go into Falby's area and then just clip out of bounds. Otherwise we'd have to pay him 20 rupees. And the text would be longer, I think. So obviously don't really do that. We'll just go ahead and clip out of bounds from the house. Because Falby's Flight by Fowl house and the rest of Lake Hylia are on the same map, so it's perfectly fine to do. Anyways, again with the dashing his horse, dashing well on Epona, you kind of want to space the spurs out a bit so that you're not overlapping the dash speed that you still have after the initial dash. And then once it gets down to 1, you want to let it refill all the way, unless you don't need all spurs to get to the place you're trying to get to. Again, you can use all 6 and then backflip off and get back on Epona. Get an instant dash with Epona, but it's a little bit slower. So you'll notice there was a red shoe back there that dropped. That has about a 10% chance, I believe, to be a gold shoe. And that can theoretically save about 10 seconds, as well as making most of the run more consistent by doing a few strats. But pretty much never get it, so I just, yeah, obviously I'm not going to be able to showcase any of those strats. I only do a couple of the strats that you could do with it. There's 3 strats that you can do with it. Again, here's the clip out of bounds here. The 3 are 0-4 1 cycle, which doesn't save time, but makes the fight more consistent due to not having to deal with the manipulation and hoping that you get a 1 spin for the first phase, like 1 cycle spin. The second thing is Argarok 2 cycle, which is very hard and saves about 20 seconds, but it takes about 10 seconds to get the Chew Jelly, so that's where the 10 seconds total time save, or thereabouts, comes from. And you can't dupe the Chew Jelly very efficiently, because you'd have to home buffer to do that trick that way, and I don't really want to do that. So that's why I would say it's only 10 seconds at that point. We can clip out of bounds here by just swimming up through the pillar, by the way. Get into Lake Bed. That's how we do it without having to need bombs, if anybody was wondering. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Right, the final strat that I can see using it for would be just straight up using it on King Bolin 4 in Hyrule Castle. And that saves somewhere on the order of 8 seconds, I think. Something like that, if you don't buffer it. Now, buffering loses a few seconds. And you can theoretically use it on Horseback Ganondorf, but if you were to buffer using it on King Bolin 4 or frankly anything else, then it would cost 2 seconds to even save it up to that point. At which point, Horseback Ganon with Chew Jelly is annoying to do, because like the camera is weird, but also it doesn't really save any time. We just did a couple LJs there to skip some stalactites, which is nice. I should really be talking about this dungeon right now, because there's a lot of stuff going on. We're gonna do a double LJ here. This is the first double LJ ever. No, we did one a second ago, but this is the first big one, which we're gonna get onto the railing of the staircase and then over here, instead of having to like pull a few switches to do that. So this will put us in East Wing so that we can get over to Deku Toad. Normally you're not supposed to be able to get to Deku Toad without having these platforms spinning, but we're just going to ignore that by doing another double LJA to get over here. You can see how crazy the Boomerang LJA is and how much time you can save. Now SD would have boss flags and it could go through that door rather than doing what we're doing, but well, first of all we need a key anyways, but also we can't use boss flags to bypass the gate. Unfortunately, even though I got the side up onto the chest, my positioning was bad, so Boomerang tried to back. I couldn't get the LJA, but I got it on the second try there, so not too terrible. There's a rock here, so you'd think you would need bombs, but we can actually just use a pot. If we position it correctly, we can swim between the pot and the rock and kind of clip through this little gap here. And so that's what we're gonna do. So upcoming is Deku Toad. We do not have bombs, so the fastest way to... well, actually, the only way we really have to beat him is by doing sword slashes. And so casually, I think the devs expect you to do 4 full combos, which would, like on his tongue, which would take 4 cycles. And that's obviously slow, because these cycles take like 30 seconds each. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do 2 cycles of 10 slashes, which is semi-precise in terms of timing. It's not too bad once you get the hang of it, but learning it early on is a bit rough. Since we have the Ordon Sword, it takes 2 cycles of this. And so I got 10 there, which is good. I just need to get 10 on the second one. And then we would be in good shape. I think I get it in this run. I'm like 90% sure. I actually don't quite remember though. Yeah, we can see up to get him to follow immediately, by the way. Yeah, so I do get it. Now in SD, you can, since you have the Master Sword, you only have to do 1 cycle with that, which is really nice, but, yeah. We can't do that, because we only have the Ordon Sword. There's a couple ways to actually beat him using bombs, even if you don't have the bomb arrows. Obviously, it's fastest with bomb arrows, as you can see in some other categories if you really care. But we don't have bomb arrows here. We have neither bombs nor arrows, so we can't do that. It's also faster to beat him by doing like a somewhat precise 1 cycle or a not precise at all 2 cycle with bombs. But again, we don't have bombs, so there's no way we can do that. So we have to do the sword slashes. So now that we have the claw shot, we're gonna go ahead and jump down, do a little slash here to skip having to climb up some vines, or claw shot, I guess, up some vines. And now we could just go ahead and go fight Morpheal, because this is the one place where we can clip out of bounds and do a boss key skip. Every other boss door is tied to the loading zone, but this boss door, like, you don't actually have to open the boss door to go through the loading zone in this instance. You can actually just clip out of balance and then get into the loading zone by different means. The only place where you can do that. And so we could just do that right now, but I already have a key because I needed it to do that LJA over the railing. And also, going into this next room here, so there's a gate off to the left. It happens to use the same code as all the gates in City in the Sky. For some reason, the game can only load one of those gates at a time. One type of them, I guess. So, if we do not power cycle the console before we get to City in the Sky, we can actually skip a bunch of rooms, because there just won't be a gate where there would normally be one. That's why we go into the room. So here I'm going to do a little clip off of here, do a little semi-precise setup to get into the boss room. I know it's really fast, so I didn't really have much time to explain it there. We do some movement in order to get into the fight. Since we have Sword Armor, we don't have to worry too much about running out of air, like SD does, which is very nice. Swimming with water bombs to refill your air is still possible in HD, but obviously we don't have to do it, so there's no point. Plus, we don't have water bombs. But yeah, so, that first phase, if you just do slashes at it, like a normal slash, like a targeted slash or something, you actually don't do enough damage to kill it in one cycle. What you need to do is a jump slash or a quick spin, or somehow manage to get 2 stabs in, which is very hard. What I do is I back hop and then do a jump slash quick spin, and one of those usually hits. So what I'm doing right now is I have iron boots on. I'm going to force unequip them and then immediately re-grab more fuel. That's kind of a bad re-grab, but it still works. Finish off more fuel. For the last one, you don't actually need to do a re-grab really, because, well, for pretty much any of the cycles. Pretty much any of the cycles, what you can basically do is just swim down left by holding, I think up left is the where you need to hold to do that, and more fuel will swim up left generally. So you'll be right in position to target and grab again. But that's what we do on the third cycle. This is at least what I do. Because getting a double grab is fairly difficult and saves only like half a second done fast. But I'm going to also skip this heart container because there's really no reason I need to get it. So I've mentioned buffering golden chew jelly. Obviously we won't do that in this run, but I think it's worth pointing out what I mean by that. So basically if you have the what's it called? The golden chew jelly equipped, and then you try to equip something over it, and just like hold your finger on the gamepad to equip something over it, then press home, stop touching the gamepad, and then press whatever button the jelly was on, and then press home again. That's what we do to basically get infinites, or like infinite of any drinkable item, or bottle item, I guess. Is basically what that does is it force unequips the jelly as you're using it, which is obviously really nice because that way we don't actually use the chew jelly, which is great. So we can preserve it to use it multiple times. So that's basically what I meant. Anyways, Minutes Desperate Hour is like pretty straightforward. It's just wolf movement. There's really not much to talk about. But yeah. So currently we do not have bombs, but we actually need either bombs or ball and chain, which HD has no way of getting to before beating Arbiters anyhow. So really we just need bombs in order to defeat Fuse Stalfos in Arbiter's Grounds, so we actually do have to get a bomb bag, and the method that we're going to use to get it, it's like a little faster and more consistent to actually get it twice, essentially, which means that when we save warp, we're going to be able to keep the bomb bag. Save warp or die, I think. Either of those work. Or finish a dungeon as well. Anyways, any of those will give us another bomb bag. So we'll be able to retain a bomb bag throughout the rest of the run, and not have to worry about it too much. It only takes a couple minutes to get a bomb bag after Master Sword, which is very nice that we can delay getting it so late. Because the other way of getting it before Lake Bed took like 9 minutes or something. This is all the stuff you had to do. I think earlier I mentioned that the route before Virus Skip had to skip Kimbolin 1, but that's not actually correct, because it still had to get the bomb bag from after Goron Mines, which means that it would have had to beat Kimbolin 1 to unlock the shop. So, I would like to correct that earlier statement from long ago. Anyways. But once we got the bow, I think it was reasonable to go for Kimbolin 1 skipping that route. I don't think that would lead to any dead ends, so that should be all the problems with what I said earlier. I'm thinking through this straight. Anyways, so now we can go ahead and go down into, you guessed it, Rope Tower. Which in my opinion is, the second trip to Rope Tower is the worst room in the game. Because the ropes in this game are just really finicky and dumb. There are some strats that make this room a little bit faster, but some of them I don't even go for, just because I already failed this room enough as is. Like that rope, for example, is really hard to get on. Like, without slowing down a ton. This rope is fairly easy to get on, though, and this jump attack is free. But there's another jump attack past this next set of ropes onto the ledge up there that we could theoretically do. But it's kind of inconsistent, and you fall pretty far if you mess it up, so... Anyways. Now that we're up there, we'll go ahead and do the windy area movement. And so the game normally wants you to have to wait a full cycle in order to be able to get on the bridge. If we have perfect movement, we can actually get on the bridge early. I don't think that I went for it, though. No, I did not. You want to line yourself up so that you get a dash cancel jumping off this, so that you can immediately dash to the up left. But if you had perfect movement there, you could just jump straight onto the corner of the bridge while it was going down there, and then jump off at the last second to get onto the platform. But I didn't trust that movement, probably rightly so. It saves about 4 seconds to get, I think. Anyways, now that we've done all of that, we can go ahead and go to North Faron, because we need to get the Master Sword. It is required to beat MDH for North Faron to be in such a state that the bridges and monkey will be there so that you can get over to the Sacred Grove. Unfortunately, this minute jump cannot be accessed earlier, otherwise we could theoretically get some form of early Master Sword, although it probably still wouldn't be faster at that point. But I don't know. Basically, every single floated idea about early Master Sword, which, even as it is unworkable. Even in theory, because we wouldn't be able to get Wolf Link in the Grove if we got there as human, for example. The current theories would not save time. Basically, the only way we could save time, more or less, is to get early Master Sword when SD does at this point. Because we've gotten a bunch of tricks that make it so that we lose a lot less time from not having early Master Sword. Actually, I think the bigger thing at this point is not having map glitch, so having to deal with all the stuff for Snow Peak. Although, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe early Master Sword is still more time. I can't quite remember. Anyways, now we can do the little Skull Kid chase here. Pretty simple. Just memorize where you're going. It's the same every single time. Be straightforward. I mean, really, I'd like to talk about something here, but there's not much I can think about right now that I'd like to talk about. This is pretty much just a long section of pretty standard movement. So, we are going to do a little B attack up here right before we go off the ledge so that we can land on the ground. I don't think I actually got it to work, though. I don't know why. I thought it was late enough that it should work, but I think I grabbed the ledge instead. But if you do a untargeted B attack off that ledge, then you should land on the ground during the cutscene. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. Anyways, now every time he blows his horn, we want to hit him. And then his timer for blowing his horn doesn't start until we kill at least one of the Skull Kids that he spawns. So we're gonna try to kill exactly one, because each one of these guys that we kill has added hit stun from hitting them. That lags the game. Well, it doesn't really lag the game. Also, I don't know how that worked. It was like so unlucky and yet lucky at the same time. It's really weird. But yeah. But we only have to kill one of them. Not all of them, or even that many of them. And yeah, I think the fastest way of killing them, as far as we know, is dashing B attack. At least I think that's what we did there. I don't know. It's got a nice little ruby here. Now, even if you're not at full health, by the way, the Master Sword, grabbing it will restore you to full health, which is nice. Obviously, I don't really need it right now, but worth pointing out, I guess. So, the solution to this puzzle is the same every single time. Down, left, up 3, right 2, down 3, left, up. And that should always be the exact same. Unless you're on Wii, in which case, change my lefts with rights. But there's also 2 frames in every jump where you can press X to get senses, so I try to get them in every jump. I think I've missed either 1 or 2 at this point. But it's kind of a fun thing to do while going through this monotony of moving these guys. Yeah, no, we can go ahead and get the Master Sword. I have a sub 150 Master Sword, which is a very good time. I think the only benchmark that I was going for that I didn't hit was sub 2 Arbiter's Grounds. I hit every like arbitrary time I was going for. Other than that, that's kind of nice about this run. It wasn't just good in like one spot; it was pretty good throughout. I suppose I might have been able to get a 210 spinner, but I've never gotten a 210 spinner, so I'm not surprised I didn't get one in this run. Spoiler alert. I had a really bad spinner split in PB. So. That's like the one place where I actually lost a lot of time. Everything else was barely tame time losses or perfect splits. So. So yeah, Minna's gonna talk to us for a while here. And there's nothing we could do to skip this. We just have to sit through here and like slowly mash through dialogue. So I mentioned needing a bomb bag earlier. This is the perfect time to go get it, because why not? So now we can go ahead and go to Zora's Domain. Now you'll realize that the other bomb bags, so Goron bomb bag, the underwater one, requires, even though it's right here, it requires bombs to get, either normal or water, which defeats the purpose. Because we're just trying to get a bomb bag. We would never get this one. The Barnes bomb bag still requires beating King Goblin 1 and Goron Mines, which obviously we don't want to do. So our final remaining option is to get Isa's bomb bag, which we have easy access to since we can just warp to Zora's Domain at this point. We're not just going to help Isa, even though we could. It would just take several extra minutes to do helping Isa with the boomerang and all that. Instead, we're going to do some precise movement to be able to activate the portal and get out of it to transform and then go back again. That way we can do this fight as Wolf, which is not how you're supposed to do this. And so essentially what this is going to do is we're going to be able to go into the house and get the bomb bag as Wolf. And the developers... So there's some code written about... It's kind of janky with the lint bomb bag, where they essentially thought that you would not have Uku or the Wolf in here. So, save warping or game overing, things of that sort, it did not allow you to leave with the lint bomb bag. It would remove it from your inventory if you did that. But if you use Uku, or even better, Wolf, you can get out perfectly fine. Wolf is obviously the faster option. Especially since if we warp right back here, well, already having one limp bomb bag, we can get another one and a black rupee, and then we have to talk to her again to fill the empty bomb bag. And now we have a full bomb bag and a black rupee in our inventory. And when we save warp, or die, or finish a dungeon, at least I think finishing a dungeon does it. Don't quote me on that, I'm not quite sure, I don't quite remember. Also, we have 3 boomerangs right now, which is fun. But yeah, so when we save warp after getting spinner, the black rupee will go away, so nice bonking, and we'll get another bomb bag. This time it'll actually be permanent, it'll stay there forever for the rest of the game. So we're essentially duping, more or less. I'm not sure I like that terminology, but we're duping the Isabomb bag. Now here we have Aru. I like Aru because he has one of the coolest HD exclusive tricks locked to him. Unfortunately, it is completely and utterly useless. But it's interesting nonetheless. All we need right now for is Mimo, though. I have some videos on things that you can do on my YouTube channel, though I won't talk about it too much here, but basically, you have ways of getting the memo and then dying so that his trigger is still there, and then talking to him from far away in order for, like, to break his cutscene, and then he'll give you whatever the last item you got on the play session is, like, whether that be from this file or not. So you can, like, pull in, for example, the ball and chain into Aru, and he can give it to you right here. The problem is that you actually have to, like, get the item model at some point in another file in order to do that. So, and we have no way of manipulating the byte that basically gives us the item instead of the memo, other than to get the item model to pop up at the moment. So we have no way of getting him to give us that extremely useful item that would save like 15 minutes if we could do that, but you know. Anyways, as it is now, we can't actually use him for anything other than just getting to the desert, which is a little disappointing. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and go to the desert. And kill some of these Boblins on the boars, so that we can use a boar to get to Boblin camp. Pretty straightforward moving through here, nothing super complicated. You don't need to kill all of them right here. And by the way, I'm gonna be careful not to start a dash until I get to like right up against this pillar or next to it or something like that, so that I can get all the way through without having to dash again. Right, you don't need to kill all of the Boblins, because essentially you only need to kill 2 of them, I think. Because sometimes if you try to go get a boar after not killing any of them, or only killing one of them, they'll decide to start walking towards a boar, and if they've targeted a boar to get on, the prompt to be able to get on that boar for you actually goes away, which is really annoying. So you do have to kill at least like 2 of them. Right here we're going to save about 7 seconds. We're going to jump off this tent thing onto this ledge. And we can do an LJA with that pillar right there. When the boomerang's above the pillar, the timing's kind of tight. The angle is rough. This is not an easy trick, but it saves about 7 seconds, so we go for it. And once we get up on top of here, the triggers for this fight are air triggers. So we can go ahead and enter the fight this way rather than having to actually get the key. It's really stylish. It doesn't actually save that much time though. Just kind of funny. But yeah, good King Boblin we fight. Really the first King Boblin we fight in the run, but I still call him King Boblin 3 because he's supposed to be the 3rd King Boblin fight, but anyways. Yeah, so generally speaking, the fastest way to kill him is to jump attack, quick spin him to stun him, and then do a bunch of quick spins, like 4, I think, backflip, wait for him to swing, and then do a jump attack, quick spin, and then like another spin, and then wait for him to start swinging again and do a jump attack, quick spin, etc, etc. And basically you kill him that way by just rinsing and repeating. But he does do 3 hearts here if he hits you, so you have to be careful not to get hit. The good thing is, it's really hard to get hit. You have to be, like, not paying attention really to actually get hit by King Goblin in either fight that we do in this run. But yeah, now we can go ahead and enter Arbiter's Grounds. Now the game expects you. Nice, I got circles. I forgot about that. Yeah, when you walk into that cutscene, sometimes your angle and speed will be such that it circles there. The link will spin. But yeah, the game expects you to use Claw Shot to get across this room as human. But we can just wolf across the sand by attacking. So that's nice. It's worth noting that those stairs, rolling up them is faster than rolling up the non-staired part for whatever reason. But yeah, we're going to be using wolf sand jumping a lot in this dungeon, just to save bits of time. Actually, that might be the only time, so I might be wrong about that, but... No, we use it later in this segment, actually. We do. Anyways. Upcoming, we have a skip called Po1 Skip. It's aptly named because the first Po that's right here we don't actually have to get. Doesn't really save time because we don't have to get this Po. The reason it saves time is because we don't have to go from Po 2 to Po 3 to Po 4. We can instead skip most of the rooms in the East Wing and go into Po 3 room backwards, essentially, after doing Po 4 room. That's not the exact route we're going to do here, but basically, the gist of it is that doing that style of movement ends up saving quite a bit of time. So you might be wondering how we can go into Po 3 room backwards. Well, the reason is because we can go through this room backwards, more or less. So what we're going to do here is we're going to distract those guys with a bomb. We don't actually have to kill them. We do an LGA over this pillar, and then we get a little up warp and roll across the top of the pillar to get up here, and then we can do an LJA to get across the rest of the room. And so doing that saves about a minute and like 10 seconds over getting all 4 poses. Besides also making the segment a little bit more consistent than it used to be. Which is a good thing, if I do say so myself. So that Stelphos and 2 others are the reason that we need bombs at all. Otherwise, we could skip them entirely. It's a crying shame that we have to actually fight them, but it is what it is. So, the reason that we can't just skip Po 1 normally is because the game requires you to have it sent from a Po, presumably Po 1, in order to dig up the chain. I got bad luck here. There's a manip you can do. I don't remember if I got it. I got 2 cycles of spins here, which is really bad. I don't think this manip worked. No, it didn't, because I got the down version. Anyways. But you can actually get that scent from any Po. I mean, except Po 2, I guess, because you need the scent to get to Po 2. But we're just going to get the scent from this Po, so we can get to it. Now, I somehow managed to save this, despite jump attacking too early. But yeah, that's just the start of my woes in this segment, getting trolled by this guy for like 15 seconds. Because I have some trouble with another room later. But yeah, anyways, we go ahead and get the scent here. It is important that you definitely actually have to get the scent, so just bear that in mind. And since we don't want to have to do Po 1 skip again, we're just going to go ahead and push this, for like the pillar jump. It's not really fair to call it Po 1 skip. Po 1 skip is really the entire route, not just the pillar jump. Anyways, we just push that block. We have to push it 4 times so that it sets a flag, so that whenever we go back into the room, it'll stay moved. We can just go back through that little spot again, rather than having to do the pillar up warp thing. Pillar jump, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we do need the scent in order to dig up that chain and be able to get into this room. And we need to be able to get into this room in order to get the small key. so that we can open the door backwards to get into code 3 room. Now, I had a really bad time fighting this Redead. At least I did not get screamed. Normally what you do is there's a minute charge, and then you open the chest as Wolf, and you transform to human, and slash the Redead once and he dies. But, obviously I messed up, like, all of that. It was pathetic, but whatever. Here we're gonna do a little bit of manipulation to kill these bubbles and kill this guy fairly quickly. This is a pretty consistent room, honestly, if you do the movement right. It's not too bad. Pretty fast Po too. But yeah. Like I said, there is an alternate route going through here that loses about 5 seconds to doing the route that I'm currently doing right now. If you wanted to get all 4 Poes, what you do is you get Po 1, get the scent, you get Po 2, and then instead of going to Po 3 room by just going upstairs East Wing, what you want to do is you want to go back to West Wing, then do Po skip, get Po 4, go back out, and go to Po 3 room backwards, since you'll have the small key at that point. But the Po cutscene takes a little bit too long to make that worth it. It's about 5 seconds. I timed it a while ago. It took a while, but it's only about 5 seconds difference. So Hundo still does Po 1 skip, even though it doesn't actually skip Po 1 and saves quite a bit of time. A large part of the time save is like having to move through the main room and this room a couple extra times in this route. And having to push the box, stuff like that. This is the room that we need the key for. It's that door right there. That way we can open it backwards and then go ahead and go into code 3 room. And normally what we want to do is we want to target this guy and a good number of these skeletons with a minute charge, and that'll allow us to hit the Redead twice with a minute charge. Unfortunately, I completely and utterly failed it horribly. So I lost a bit of time there, but that's not all, folks. Trust me, it gets worse. But yeah, then we do that fight normally. But then I was an idiot, and not only did I target the fucking chain like an idiot rather than being able to... Oh my god, this is amazing. Rather than being able to grab the guy, I also accidentally then freaked out and jump attacked the Redead, and then I get this rupee. But luckily I got the rupee after I started pulling the Po soul away, so it still somehow managed to work. But that entire series of events lost like another 40 seconds over what I'd already lost on the split, and it was very pathetic. So that is the one large mistake in this run. Everything else is small fry mistakes. And anyways, that's not a very good showcase of how that room normally goes, let's put it that way, but you know, it is what it is. Everyone's gonna have some problems. But yeah, so the game only checks for the final 3 Poes, since it expects you to have to get Po 1. So that's why we don't actually have to kill Po 1 at all. Even if we did have to, though, we just do the 5-second time loss route. Now, we would normally go right in a casual playthrough, but we're actually just gonna go left and clip through this wall, go through this sand to get up here. It's actually possible to do this without even clipping out of bounds. I mean, this is like a very poorly protected big key here. But now we can go through here, and since there's no locked doors around here, we can just go through all these rooms backwards to get to the spinner room, which is a lot faster than going through here the normal way. So this upcoming room is the other reason we need bombs in this run. is we need to kill both these Stalfos. So there's exactly 3 mandatory uses of bombs in the run right now. I'm honestly surprised that this worked, by the way, because I'd set down the bombs in kind of a bad spot. But anyways, the whole idea is basically you trap the first guy with a bomb in front of him, and then you roll back over, and then you get the Stalfos to come to the ledge, and then you just drop a bomb behind you so that you can get up to the gate really fast. Really fast. Yeah, now we can do Death Sword. Basically how this fight works is that you want to use senses to hit him the first time, and then I'll go into his second phase. And you can do B attacks there rather than A attacks, and it's slightly faster, but it's harder because you have to time them right. But anyways, now we want to stun him with anything. I choose Boomerang generally because the target works 100% of the time. We want to do a spin when he's going around. And then we just do slashes until he dies, basically. Because as long as you don't do a 4th hit until you're doing the final hit, as long as you don't do a full combo, he won't fly away. And so basically how it works is he has a timer for how long he'll wait until he starts flying up, and it does not... The timer does not count down if you are in the motion of slashing. So yeah. That's basically why that works. So we can just constantly slash him until he dies. It just happens that 3 slashes tends to be the easiest way to do it. You can also do 2 slash hits like Deku Toad, but it's a bit more finicky. Yeah, that was like, what, 50 seconds to best? It's not good. You can also do Death Sword skip there, which there are videos on. I can't really explain it very well. Basically, you do a super jump in precise position when Death Sword is in a precise position. At a precise set of frames in order to get a precise super jump. I said precise enough to get up onto the ledge and then save about 16 seconds if you get good RNG and he spins the right way in the first place after stunning him. So yeah. So I do have a full bomb bag right now because I save warped. And yeah, this is definitely faster to get to the boss this way than having to go back through the spinner room. I don't know why they... I guess they expected you to have to go through that room because they didn't expect to get the boss key the way that we do, but I don't know. Anyways. Yeah, there are videos on Death Sword Skip. It's not actually that horrible, but I don't like killing runs this far in, so... Especially if they're, like, actually good. Like, this run was pretty solid. Other than that one mistake in Spinner, like, the one big mistake, it was pretty good, really. And actually clip the camera out of bounds here in order to get a better viewpoint on when we need to jump, which is really nice. And then we can drag this up so that we can get to Stalord. Now, Stalord is a, let's call it fun boss. It's also, the first phase is a bit rough in terms of RNG. You have to have really good reaction time, and sometimes where the Stalfos soldiers or whatever, wherever they spawn, it's just unworkable, so you can't get the hit and have to go back up to the railing. There's nothing you can do about that. But yeah. Yeah, basically what you want to do here is hit the spine 3 times by dodging these soldiers. It's just really only you have to actually do work on the 2nd and 3rd phases. 3rd cycles, whatever. 2nd and 3rd cycles. So I have to dodge these guys, for example. And then the 3rd time I have to bounce from behind him after spawning in the guys close to his spine. I don't remember if I get it very well here. Obviously I missed it the first time. Yeah, did. That was still pretty fast, even though I had to go back up to the railing. But yeah. Second phase is actually really easy and consistent. Way better than first phase, where you have to like actually rely on RNG. But basically how second phase works is you end up doing is you want to roll 5 times, and then like on a certain music note, like the third high music note, bum bum bum. So when I snapped is when you get on spinner. Get on spinner, and then you'll catch up to him on spinner because he's shooting fire or whatever, and you'll be able to hit him really quickly rather than having to go all the way up. And then beyond that, you can just do 6 quick spins in order to kill him really fast. Also, Link teleports during this cutscene. I don't understand. And after the boss, it's amazing for me. He just warps around the room. The reason the 6 quick spins works is because normally the game wants you to get 18 damage on this guy, which is equivalent to, I think, 3 sets of full stabs. So you'll see I did 5 quick spins and 3 stabs there. That's because every quick spin is equivalent to 3 hits. Because of hit lag, the game actually lags long enough that you can hit him again, for whatever reason. They disabled it on a lot of other mini-bosses and bosses, but it still works on Stalwart. I don't know why. So, I mean, I'm grateful, because it means that we can one-cycle him, so always nice. Anyways, I am gonna grab this heart container, because I don't like going into Snow Peak with only 3 maximum hearts. Yeah, again, it is faster to do 6 quick spins than to do 5 and 3 stabs. It's just, I kind of messed it up as well. Anyways. Yeah, so now we can go to Snow Peak. So in this game, after you get the portal, or really after you beat Stallard and come out of this loading zone, there's a flag that gets set that basically doesn't let you warp anywhere unless you raise the portal, or raise the mirror slab or whatever. But in SD you don't actually have to raise it, which is kind of funny. Reason being basically that you can like zoom in twice and then zoom out or something in order to pull up portals and warp away every time you want to warp. You have to do it every time after this though in that run. Of course that's not that much longer, that many more warps at this point, because I think right after this SD does release City in Sky and goes to City. But yeah, we have to go to Snow Peak first. In HD, they disabled the zooming out and in thing, so we do actually have to raise the mirror. And now we're gonna go do a bunch of annoying movement to get up to Snow Peak, so that we can get Ball and Chain. The reason we need Ball and Chain, of course, is to beat Zant. That's the only reason we need Ball and Chain. The early City in the Sky. But because we need Ball and Chain, that means we also need Fishing Rod, and to do this whole thing with Ashe to get Wallace's, or the note for Wallace, or the sketch, or whatever. And then to get the Coral Earring, so that we can fish up reek fish, get the reek fish scent, and not get voided out when we try to climb up the mountain. As an SD, you have map glitch here, so you don't actually have to do any of that, and get into Snow Peak really early, which is very nice, but obviously there's no map glitch in HD, so we have to do all this. So yeah, not a big fan of all of the things that Ball and Chain requires of HD, but it is what it is, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, once we get the sketch, we can go and get the earring. And then we can come back and get the reek fish scent, and then actually go to Snow Peak finally. So one thing to note when pulling out items to show people things is that if you try to show them the item before the speak thing on the A button pops up, it will not actually work. It'll just say, but nothing happened whenever you pulled it out or whatever. But if you wait until the speak icon shows up, then they'll actually react to it, so... it's just something that... There's like a number of people that don't realize that, because it's not super obvious. But yeah, if you just try to keep spamming the sketch, like spamming the sketch at them, without waiting for the speak thing to pop up, it's just gonna delay the timer back to the beginning again for whenever speak pops up, and if you just keep spamming it, it's never gonna actually work. It's kind of funny. But yeah, now that we have the fishing rod, we can go ahead and go down and get the reek fish scent, so that we can go to Snow Peak. I kind of try to turn a little to the right here, so that the fish don't troll me enough, or don't troll me at all. Sometimes these fish only nibble on the fishing rod, so if you try to pull it, you have to cast again. But if you aim sufficiently far right, then generally they don't troll you. I don't know why exactly that is, but apparently it's the thing. Now that we have the reek fish scent, we set a story flag that will make it so that the game won't void us at a certain point, even if we follow the path. Which is why that's the one flag between us and being able to go to Snow Peak early. Which is a darn shame, because then we could skip bombs. But whatever. And now we can just follow the scent path and go up to the top. Because if that one spot wasn't there, you could actually just memorize the path and follow it up. But let's see, where is the spot? I think it's right here is where it will void you if you don't have this in. So, there you go. But yeah, now we're in the clear, and we can just go ahead and do the rest of the climbing. Obviously, since we didn't do map glitch, we don't have to go into the Howling Stone to clear map glitch. We can just go straight into the ice cave, which is always nice. And then we can just make our way through this ice cave, using some nice claw shots that save a bit of time over what I think the developers intended with the ladders and vines. I don't remember if I managed to avoid these keys. I did. Normally you want to target the vines on the ceiling, but that's fine, because I didn't get it anyways. So right here, we're gonna roll around to the right, kinda, and then do an LJA. That way we don't have to do the messenger fight, because we never activated it, and we void out far enough this direction that we actually end up here in the trigger to start the Yato cutscene. It's faster to say no here, by the way. So now we can do quote-unquote blind snowboarding. It's not as blind in HD, because you can still see pretty well, but in SD, the draw distance is kind of short in the blizzard, so it's really hard to know where you're going. Also in SD they don't load the rupees during blind snowboarding, but in HD they do, which is kind of odd to me, I guess. Yeah, we can do like a couple skips here by cutting some corners. We're gonna try to get the 50 rupees from the treetops. I think I do get it in this run. No, I don't. Of course not. Right, this is the run where I have sufficiently enough rupees because I'm messing up in arbors that I can get this red rupee and the rupee above fire, and that'll be enough. Otherwise, if I miss those treetop rupees, then I would, after getting ball and chain, there's a suit of armor after save warping, like up and to the left of where you end up after save warp. And, you can just go get that, because there's a bubble in there with 100 rupee. Which basically makes up for it. And I tried to get the tech skip here, but it's basically... I can't say it's impossible. I think Jim got it yesterday, but that'll date this video very nicely. But it's hard to get that tech skip. You go for it anyways, why not? You know, we get Snow Peak. This is the shortest dungeon in the run by far. Because of early Seeing Sky, we don't actually have to beat this dungeon. We just came here for the ball and chain, so all we're doing is just going straight to the ball and chain. And this happens to be the fastest method to get there. This is very broken. Claw shot through the floor here, because that's a bombable floor, and they didn't expect you to be able to get under it without bombing the floor. So they can allow you to claw shot through it for whatever reason. And then we can do double LJA to get towards key. LJA when the boomerang's above the sill, and then when it's out of bounds here, grab the key. We need that key to be able to get to the room with Dark Hammer. I think really we need it for the room, like to get into Courtyard proper, but even so, you get the idea. Now we can kind of side hop off here to get past the ice and the freezards without having to use ball and chain to get past. Push this block, go through this locked door backwards. I mean, this dungeon is like completely out of order, it's crazy. And then we don't even have to use bombs to shoot the cannon at the freezer. We can just like get invincibility frames and kind of be attacked past him through the door when he's turning, and just open the door from behind. I always walk into that back left corner so that I don't get frozen when I open the door. But you can also open the other door. I'm just a wuss. We can use the bomb to do damage to this guy as soon as he's vulnerable, and kill. It's super, super, super fast. Crazy. Grab ball and chain, and we save warp out of here. So again, since I have 80 plus, I'm not gonna grab this. The bottom left PB just got it in the PB video down there, the old PB that I had, 32658. So if you want to know where it is, that's where it is. But I don't have to grab that because I'm just gonna go get the Fire 20, which will save me a little bit of time over getting the orange. The reason we're gathering the rupees is because we need 300 for the cannon, like right now. And there's a 200 on top of the house here in the bell, which we can get by using the boomerang and the bomb. The boomerang and bomb, whatever. It's somewhat precise, but if you stand around here, put the bomb down, and then target a little above the bell, it'll work pretty much every time. And you just gotta make sure the rupee gets put into the boomerang before you jump down. Sometimes it doesn't work, like it doesn't get into the boomerang even though you heard the thing from it hitting the bell or whatever. And then ideally you jump slash through the text so that you don't get it, but anyways, I kinda side hopped on accident. Anyways, we're about to save an hour and 15 minutes. Or something along the lines of that. It's probably more like 50, but I like to say it's an hour and 15. Yeah, by doing that, we just skipped the entire second half of Snow Peak. All of Temple of Time, and the whole thing with the Hidden Village and the Ancient Skybook that we normally have to do. It's kind of hilarious. They did try to patch it by creating the, like, by making the collision of the statue a little bigger, but it still works in HD. You just can't quick transform through. You have to manually transform with L for whatever reason. I think the collision when you quick transform is just different. So yeah, I'm gonna get the red rupee here. Let's get the text by jump slashing through, which is what I should have done on the silver rupee, but it didn't work. But yeah, that trick when I clipped through the statue is called Early City in the Sky. Anybody wanted to know the terminology? So yeah, you have to have 300 rupees by this point, otherwise obviously you can't fix the cannon. Oh, you know, nice long cutscene going into City in the Sky. Hog. So City in the Sky is another one of those LJA playgrounds. Kind of like Lake Bed and Snow Peak. I don't think Arbiters had any LJs other than like a couple in the beginning. But City and Snow Peak and Lake Bed each have at least one double LJ and several just normal LJs, which is really cool. So these are some of the more interesting dungeons in the run, in my opinion. But I digress. Anyways, you'll notice we're still in the same power cycle, as in we haven't closed the software or powered off the console since we, since we started the run, but also, more importantly, since we, loaded the gate in Lake Bed, which I mentioned like an hour ago. We will see the use for that in about 3 minutes. But anyways. Yeah, so the game intends you to go across this room by claw-shotting and using Uku, but we don't care for any of that because we have a boomerang. That should not have worked, but it did because logic, I guess. So what I'm going to do here right now is going to look weird. I'll explain in a second. I didn't get the perfect roll to get into position there, but it's fine. You just slowly walk forward into position. Basically, Wolf Link is long enough that his center can be sufficiently far back from the door whenever you're opening it, such that you don't activate a trigger to get the fan to activate. You couldn't hear it in that room, and that was why. And that actually saves a couple of minutes during this run, which is very nice. I'm going to do a little roll off of the spinner at the very end. Basically, once the edge of the bridge gets halfway through the stairs, is when you want to press A and roll, because then it'll have enough spinner to be able to get the rest of the way. But yeah. That LJ saves like a teensy bit of time. I think it's like a second or two, maybe. I don't know, it's not too much, but it's still a thing. Grabbing this small key, because we need it to get into, what's it, East Wing? I think it's East Wing, yeah. And then here, we want to be able to save warp after double claw shots straight back to that small key. And we can do that so long as we don't hit this cutscene. In other words, if we jump slash off this P-hat to the side, or jump onto the stairs if we get a different wind cycle, and then go over and around the trigger. The save warp location actually doesn't save any time, I don't think. Like in comparison, it's just that watching the cutscene is long, so we'd rather not watch the cutscene, more or less. So I didn't mention it earlier, but in Snow Peak, you actually do only need 3 hearts entering the, like, exiting Arbiter's Ground. So if you still have 3 hearts, you can actually skip the heart container. It's just really risky because you can't take any extra hits going to and entering Snow Peak, except for by, like, 1 keys or something. Even that's, I'm not sure about that. They might do half damage, so then you'd have to grab a heart outside of Snow Peak, and then at that point it wouldn't save time. So you can go right around this room with an LJA, but it's a little slower than going left and just rolling. So I always go left. So this is where the gate is unloaded. Normally this gate would be loaded and you have to go around the right for several rooms. You can just LJA and kind of drop off and jump slash down. The LJA can take you all the way down if you get a good position and angle, but I'm just trying to go fast, so I don't like aim very much. And there's one frame we can put on the iron boots there if we have them equipped, which is nice. During that cutscene, if we just hold R, it'll just automatically equip. So we are going to do the Aralphos fight. This fight is weird. So basically how this works is that you want to get 9 ball and chain hits on this guy, and then a sword slash. So I have 7. Oh wait, no. Is that 8? I guess it was 8. You get the idea. Yeah, basically if you can get 4 hits straight up and then 5 on the shield when he's trying to attack, for some reason the game counts those as hits, although it won't like check to see if you've beaten him. And then if you get 9 on the following grab, you can just slash him and he'll die. Or you can, if you have 8, you can pull him down and use the ball and chain to kill. Or like throw the ball and chain at him while he's swinging, and then when it comes back it'll kill. Yeah, you can also do Aralphos skip there, but it's, I cannot for the life of me do Aralphos skip, so obviously I'm not going to do it in a run that's this halfway decent. At this point it's pretty good because PB, the previous PB had choked a lot. So I had a pretty good shot of getting a PB still. Just not a massive PB, which of course I didn't end up getting a particularly massive PB, but it's still pretty good. Anyway, so yeah, since we didn't get the cutscene, we can save warp here. Now the cutscene's gone, we can just go back into the main room. That means we don't have to skip the fan trigger again, which is good, because we're entering from the side rather than the other door. And since the fan is disabled, we can just go ahead and flash it up here. Which skips doing a ton of rooms. It's about 2.5 minutes, I think. Movement. And then if we get a nice position here, there's a couple of places you can stand for this. This is just where I stand. You can claw shit up here. Skip having to go around most of this, and then do a little LJA. There's a couple setups to do this LJA as well. It's just one I use. I think that was the most consistent, honestly. But yeah, and then you can get into the boss key room. Since the fans aren't spinning, you don't even have to put on iron boots or anything. You just get to go ahead and grab the boss key and then drop back down. You also don't have to turn the outside fans on because we have this thing called a boomerang, which we will see in a minute. We also have this thing called, whenever you claw shot these grates at the very top from above them, you have to have enough height so that it works. But, for example, so I get enough height here, and then I can claw shot down to the top of these grates, and then I'll grab the top of them. And then I can claw shot and grab the next one on the top. And then I just kind of sidewalk over into position, and then target there, and twice at the other edge of the thing. And obviously I'm really nervous at this point in the run, because I failed this way too many times on good runs. I popped off a little on PB there. I actually got it. I have too many runs died at that, so to finally get it was a total relief. Yeah, this room is on cycles, so it's pretty much the exact same every single time, unless you do something stupid. It's a nice, easy, relaxing room after having to deal with the double LJA. So you'll notice here, okay, well actually first let's talk about this. So if you claw shot that really fast, you can get it before having to have the thing spin all the way back around. So it saves about 10 seconds to get that quick grab. The other thing I was going to say is that I'm holding ZL and then pressing X while still holding ZL, and then I let go of ZL. And that basically is just a way for me to do C-up aiming, which I don't think I've talked about either. But it's another way for me to do C-up aiming, essentially, without being able to C-up, because I'm using double claw shots. So here's Rob shots. If we stand kind of in a precise position, and just aim at the top of the vines, we can get a really nice grab, and be like right at the top of the vines. And that was very fast and nice Rob shot. Yeah. Yeah, so C-up aiming, if you press in the C-stick, it's called C-up aiming because on GameCube you use the C-stick and hold up to do it. But basically you want to go into first person and then press an item button. It'll bring out the item faster and you can aim much quicker than if you try to pull it out without doing that, or without using a target item pool. Which is the same concept basically as C-up aiming. It's just that normally we C-up aim, because I think it's easier at least. Anyways, I didn't mention a couple things about the first phase of this fight. Also, I always get water break here. But anyways, this is a nice long cutscene. But basically how this first phase works is if you stand near one of the pillars, then Argarok will not do the little charging attack where he flies around again. He'll just stand there for you to grab him. And then right after that, if you claw shot like immediately up to the right, it's pretty easy to do with gyro, honestly. But if you do that and then claw shot him immediately, you can grab his tail immediately again. Have I said immediately enough times? I think I have. There's a couple glitches in this that will soft block and or crash your game. The first is that you can get cool gamed, so if you try to grab him on the first phase, so we're going to void out here so that he doesn't fly around. Yeah, so on the first phase, on the first cycle of the first phase, if you grab him from like a certain positioning and too early and like with bad aim, you'll be hanging off his tail, but it won't ever drag him down, so he flies around the arena with you. Okay, so every time on the first 2 cycles, as soon as he starts screaming, I have Iron Boots equipped, and then I like claw shot the first guy. Then I wait for the flame to go over me, and then I claw shot 3 more times to grab his back. And I do that the same thing for the second phase. By the way, just FYI. The other soft block is if you void with like specific timing, which we don't know exactly how it works on At the start of second phase, here we go again. I claw shot right as he starts screaming. The flame's gonna go over me, and I claw shot again. Yeah, if you avoid it at a very specific time, you'll get the music glitch. The music will start being all wacky and not correct, like really weird. And it'll just randomly crash, generally, at some point during the fight. It's unpredictable, but it will crash, probably, 90% of the time. I don't think there's ever been a time when anybody's made it actually out of this room if they've got music glitch. So, anyways. I have Iron Boots off here because this one's slightly different. I'm going to claw shot 4 times, wait for the flame to get the 3rd P-hat, and as soon as it passes it, I put on Iron Boots. And as soon as he starts shooting his flames, I take off Iron Boots and claw shot his back. Of course, here, I nearly got trolled. That was, like, extremely close to having him start turning around again. For some reason, the claw shot didn't want to work. I don't know why. You know, it's a pretty consistent fight, generally. The other thing with Argarak that I should point out is during second phase, anytime you're like grabbing the, maybe you do like a couple rolls, side hop to put on Iron Boots, and then grab the like claw shot onto the grates for the first time at each cycle of the second phase. If you do it too fast, then Argarak will shoot flames at you way too early, which you don't want to happen. But yeah, that's why I wait like a tiny bit after aiming. Usually I wait until the wind is just about to start and then I claw shot. Because I've had it happen once where Argarak shoots fire at me too early and it messed up my entire fight. It's not fun. So I put on Zora. Okay, so there's multiple things to mention here. I'm grabbing this heart container because I want to have full health. I would normally be on 3 hearts with 4 hearts max. Because of the void. Exiting this if I didn't grab the heart container, and you take a guaranteed heart and a half, I want to say. Yeah, because you take half heart entering from getting out of this cannon and landing on the bridge, which is why I'm putting on Iron Boots and slashing immediately. You take half a heart here, guaranteed. Then we can warp to House Twilight. And then if I didn't grab that heart container, I would be at 2.5 hearts here. Or if I didn't grab any heart containers at all, I'd be at 1.5 hearts. And there is one guaranteed void in Palace, in the second half of Palace. And there's not a lot of great places until the second half of Palace where you can grab even 1 heart. So that's why I generally want to go in at high health here, because there's a lot of small things that, especially since you're moving around a lot as Wolf, that can hit you and deal like a heart of damage, which is really stressful. But if I were really bold, I would just never grab any heart containers at all. I mean, you could definitely do it, it's just, it'd be really stressful is all. You know, between Snow Peak and this. But whatever. So the fastest way to kill these Xant heads is to dashing the attack into them, which hits them twice, and then mid charge. If you jump attack, and be like mid charge, it won't do enough damage. Then we can just get the small key and claw shot up here. Really simple. Go ahead and turn into Wolf, because the fog in the next room is going to turn us into Wolf anyways. So this way we don't get mid text by doing that, which is nice. Same drill with this guy. Kill him, get the key. Now this chest There's another chest that's gonna spawn. It's gonna mess up the camera angle. It's gonna make it really annoying to walk up to this chest. But it's pretty easy to just like kind of blindly walk over to where the chest is and grab it. I get it like 95% of the time perfectly. So whatever. Oh, I think the other thing I didn't mention that I was going to mention that I forgot about at the end of City was the reason I have Zora armor on right now. So, yes, it is true that Argorak insta-kills you with fire if you have Zora armor on. So, to be fair, it is slightly risky if you suck at Argorak, but Argorak is not hard. So usually it's not much of a threat to have Zora armor on there. But, I put it on because we save warp in City anyways. And I need it during Zant fight, so it's one fewer collection screen thing. So what I'm doing here is I'm listening to where he's spawning with surround sound and headphones. And then I do a stab and 2 spins, and then a stab and 2 spins, and then a stab and 3 spins. And that will keep him from warping away and spawning enemies and like teleporting around forever. Unpredictably so, even. And it still retains the 3 cycle, which is nice. So we want to grab that soul really quickly after we get it out of the hands so that we don't get min attacks. But fortunately, that's really easy to do. Go ahead and throw it into the slot before this cutscene starts. These slugs are the things that I'm talking about that can easily deal quite a bit of damage to you. The other way to deal with Phantom Zant, if you aren't good at quick spins, is to essentially do 3 stabs, 3 stabs, 3 stabs, and then a full combo. And doing that will make it so that he doesn't start teleporting away, because you never do too much damage until the last hit. And it's easier because you don't have to do any quick spins, but it is a bit slower. It's like a couple seconds slower. Anyways, I can just throw it in that slot while standing at the top of these stairs, and it's gonna put me right up here, which is beautiful. Then I want to kind of walk into this corner and grab the Sol. Gyro aiming down, by the way, for that Sol is annoying. I'm not a huge fan, but it is what it is. To do it like twice. And then this room we can just walk straight through. I shouldn't have thrown that. Don't throw it there. I just did accidentally. You want to throw it coming out of East Wing, not West Wing? Or, yeah, that is West Wing. So ideally this cutscene starts while you're on the platform, so it rises during the cutscene. That way you can just immediately LJ and get over here. Otherwise you have to go over the edge pretty much, and then kind of throw the boomerang a little left, and then wait for it to come back to LJ. This is the second dumbest room they're on. So basically, ideally, you don't hit the keys, so you... Well, let's do this first. Yeah, so you'll see why this is hard. I shouldn't have slashed for that second platform, but I still made it because it was fine. Basically what you want to do is you don't hit a keys, then you claw shot up to the top, wait like for a second, then drop. And then as soon as the platform starts coming back and you have your sword drawn, you want to jump onto the thing with the 2 orbs, and then you have a good chance at getting to Phantom Zant head before he like hits you or jumps away. And then you can kill him with a jump / quick spin, or 2 quick spins depending on where he is. There's a lot of scenarios. 3 of them are not as friendly, but they still technically work with that. Yeah. The room is kind of dumb. You have to practice it a bunch before it gets to be anywhere near consistent. Anyways, if I claw shot up here while this guy's dying, then I save a little bit of time. It's nice. I also go to the specific targets so that I don't have to turn as much. After I target this middle thing, my angle will already be pretty good. And I can drop down with iron boots and grab this chest. To get the small key. There's a couple ways to do this. I do the LJA, where I just roll down into position, like straight down, then do an LJA at that spot whenever it goes out of bounds. The other thing you can do is walk all the way up to the corner and then aim your claw shot to grab the target. I'm not sure which one is necessarily faster. They're just two ways of doing the same thing. You basically don't have to go down into the mist. Okay, second Phantom Zant fight, same as the first. Just do the same thing. Nothing crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of small things to talk about in Palace that I just don't have time to talk about. But just like so many small little movement things that are fun to work on. This is actually a really fun dungeon to practice. It's super chill. And it feels really good once you start doing it well. The other reason it's really good to practice this is because it's so late in the run and you definitely don't want to have any nerves doing this at all. So. To be fair, I mean, the dungeon is not that hard. There's just a couple rooms that are dumb, and the Phantom Zant fights control. So this throw is much easier than the first one, because you literally just walk straight forward. And then once you get almost to the middle of this thing, you throw and then roll left. And that'll put you in a very nice position. Again, aiming down with gyro sucks. I think we do it like 3 times or something. So here we can just kind of get like a really nice cycle here. I should have jumped further left on the last jump. That was really close, but yeah. Do not press A if you boomerang there, because you will jump attack. And if you jump attack, the platform despawns from beneath you. That is the case for all of these platforms that are like Sol activated. I've done that once and it was not good. Okay, this is the time that we actually want to throw the Sol. Because it's faster to just roll to the platform and have it start rising up and then grab the Sol once you're on the platform. That's what we're gonna do. It's about 17 seconds from fade out to the light sword text box, which is nice. So yeah, sub 3 Sols, Pagarino. It's a very solid time. So this waterfall up here can be a bit finicky. You just need to spin attack it, but sometimes it just doesn't want to like actually go away when you spin attack it, and you'll just void because it'll block you. It's very rare, but it happens. And honestly, I have no idea why. Obviously you want walking slashes there rather than an overhead slash. It's dumb. And then if you don't suck at aiming, both of these will go in. I just was kind of bad at aiming, so the second one took a while to get in. So this is the one guaranteed heart you can get before the room before Zant. Everything else is luck, so that's why it's really ballsy to go into Palace with only 1.5 hearts. I would not recommend, but I mean, you do you, guys. Anybody who wants to go for it, that's impressive. But yeah. So what we just did there was we did an LJA so that we could get over here faster, and then we went ahead and activated the platform, got off of it immediately so that it wouldn't think that, like, it wouldn't despawn again. This way we can get on it faster. I'm gonna do the quote-unquote inconsistent LJA that everybody complains about, but that I get 95% of the time, using those specific targets, and that timing is really not hard, but whatever. I digress. Yeah, that saves like a little tiny bit of time, as does this other LJ I'm gonna do in this room. Now, if the birds troll you, you can't do the LJA. I think the birds didn't troll me. Although, again, I did this run like 2.5 weeks ago, so I don't quite remember. But basically, if there aren't any birds next to you by the time the platform starts moving towards the Xant head, if you kill all of them, you can do an LJA here, like so. As soon as it goes out of bounds, you just jump attack. And then you get to the Xant head right as he spawns, saves a couple seconds. And you have to make sure you don't void before that guy explodes. That way these guys definitely spawn. Now, unfortunately I was too close to the ledge when I spun attack. There is a way to do this where you spin attack and claw shot straight up to the second level, but I'm bad at it, so why I didn't really do it there. I don't remember how much time it saves. It's a decent bit. Yeah, I like to... I mean, if I have perfect movement, then basically I get that same cycle pretty much anyways, so I don't know. Usually what happens is if I have perfect movement, good claw shots, then I'll... like in that jump slash down from the ledge, after I get the boss key, I will quick spin both of the guys right before they despawn, like PB just did in the video. And then I'll wait for the second guy, and then kill him. It's a little faster than what I did here. It's not too much, though. Again, this room is on cycles in the second part, so I don't know. Speaking of cycles, this room is also on cycles. But we can delay the cycles while not delaying the Shadow Beast if we pull up the Mina text. Because when Mina's out, the platforms stop moving, so it gives you like an extra 2 seconds to get up to the platform in time. Which makes early platform really easy. Like, you don't even have to think about it. Heck, you could wait for this platform to show up before jumping to it. You could wait until this platform stops, probably before getting to this. You can do what I do here, and not, like, immediately roll the platform because of the Mina buffer. You don't even have to do this LJA because of the Mina buffer. You can just claw shot the target and drop down and do a quick spin. But yeah, this room is counting. Basically what you do is you count 4 rolls, Mina buffer, kill the Shadow Beast, you jump slash quick spin. Once the platform starts rising, you count to 5, you jump, you count to 4, you jump, and then you claw it up to the thing, you count to, you jump onto the next platform after that. Then you count to... once it starts moving towards the wall, you count to 6, I think. And this is an easy LJ right here, by the way. At 6 to target the first time, and the second time. And then 9 is when you let go, I think. Something along those lines. And it's all based on the cycles of the platform making noise. It's really easy to do, but you get the idea. Basically what I'm saying is, as long as you know how to count, that room is free. So, yeah. And here, you just want to let go of your spin attack as soon as you hear the last guy explode. More or less. And then you'll get pretty much all of them on the same frame. which saves time instead of having some hits done from killing all of them on different frames. I don't know if I've missed anything in this run that I should have explained, but I've failed to. But, I don't know. I think I've done a decent job. There's probably some point in the run where I said, oh, I'm gonna talk about multiple things, and then I only talked about one of them. But you get the idea. Anyways, since we already have the Zora armor equipped, this is nice because we won't have to equip it for the Morpheal phase. Basically, for Zant, only the final hit really matters. So how this works is we're gonna aim to where he's going to be, throw the boomerang, and then time it so that our fourth slash will be like right as he lands. Like so. Then this next phase, we want to do... Okay, we want to get a 1 cycle, so what we want to do is we want to do jump slash quick spin, 3 stabs, and then as soon as the third thing is fully extended, we want to let go of B, like so, and then do a stab to finish the combo. And that saves like 10 seconds to get that. And notice a strat in here that saves like 5 seconds, I think, where you can tell where the where Xanath is gonna be. Also, you can save a little time by slashing left, right, up, down in the water, because water slashing is slow. Or right, left, up, down, I guess. I can never remember if it's right, left, up, down, or left, right, up, down. Doesn't really matter. Both of them are pretty fast. And then we throw the pot for good luck. Of course. Okay, as soon as his eyes are all the way to the ground, or really when the tip of his nose gets out of the ground, is when you can press Iron Boots, swim over to the edge here, and then grab him. Because the game will put him in the furthest one away from you, and that happens to be the one that was furthest away from me, whenever the mouth comes out of the ground, or whatever. Get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this guy off. He always goes to the same platform every time. And then we can just start swinging the ball and chain at this. It's really easy. Probably one of the easiest parts of this fight, honestly. It's really hard to mess up. Unless you get like super unlucky and he jumps in between your ball and chain hits. Okay, so as soon as you hear him scream, press ball and chain. 6, 7, and as soon as you hear the 7th you can start stabbing. I think I waited for 8 there. So, let's see if I can count it out this time, just so it's more obvious. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, right there. Yeah, the fastest combo tends to be 3 stabs and then down, but sometimes you need the extra distance so you do a full stab combo. This one is, as soon as the thing falls, full stab combo, turn around, full stab combo, well, not full stab combo, but a full combo with stab at the end with the target. And then same thing here. Because again, only the final hits matter of any given combo. And all of that fight is honestly really consistent, except for the Goron Mines 2-framer. Is the thing where I got the 1 cycle was 2 frames for letting go of that 3rd slash in the combo. You get the idea. Anyways. Obviously this is not a tutorial, but there's not a whole lot to talk about other than just small strats right now. There's not a lot of like new tricks being introduced at this point. You get the idea. There's also not a whole lot of mistakes in this run I can talk about, because basically the big mistake was O3 room, and that was pretty much it. Like, I hardly made mistakes anywhere else. Crazy. It's a really good run. Other than that one room. Anyways, we can do another mailman skip here. But yeah. So basically, everything we do in the run is to more or less. I mean, we need a few items for Hyrule Castle, but basically, we just need to beat Palace as fast as possible. And Palace means beating City, which means beating. Means beating City and Arbiters. Beating Zant means getting Ball and Chain, and beating City and Arbiters means beating Lakebed. And then being able to finish all the Twilights means beating Forest Temple. So that explains pretty much everything that we do in the run. Like right there, that's in a nutshell why we do everything we do. And we pretty much can't skip any of it. Of course, I mean, obviously if we could skip any of it, we would. But yeah. Now we get the Squidnet cutscene, which is really nice. We get to watch the barrier be broken. Pog. I always spam Squid 1, Squid 2, Squid 3, Squid 4 in chat during this cutscene, because you have to. Also, it's a swag strat to bonk into the cutscene, by the way. If you don't do it, your run is clearly invalid. I still don't quite understand why Midna becomes a giant squid. It's never really explained, nor does it explain where she gets the spear from, although it looks remarkably like Ganon's spear in Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. So it might be the same spear, in theory. I don't know, different timeline, whatever. And we can finally enter Hyrule Castle, which is the whole purpose of playing the game. Right? Yeah, so it's nice because we have bombs here. We can do a little bomb strat here where we just pull out a bomb immediately. And then these idiots will slash us. And they'll all die. We don't even take knockback damage from the bomb because we just took damage from a slash right before it. And there's several barriers where they're supposed to spawn, but you can just skip the cutscene really early and roll out of them, like this one. Let me get the King Boblin 4 fight. He has more health in this one, but it's really not a big deal. Because it's the same strategy as King Boblin 3. We just have to get more slashes on the final one. That's not a big deal at all. Okay, so I think he tornadoed in PB. Yeah. Because I was short one hit, I think. Because I missed the jump slash and I missed a quick spin. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to deal with Tornado. Yeah, then he's gonna give us the key. There are actually 2 keys outside, but we only need one right now. Because there's one that's much faster than going to East Courtyard. In the upstairs area outside. You just have to kill an Aralphos for it. We can do a nice buffered backflip, save warp here, save a few seconds with Amiibo. Doesn't save time without Amiibo though. So this is the same general idea as the first barrier skip, where we're just basically gonna jump attack and then cutscene skip in the air, so that we don't go into the barrier. It's a little harder than the first one, but it's not too bad. And we have a Dark Nut fight coming up here. Apparently there's a better way to fight this Dark Nut than the way I do, but I don't know. Apparently you can stab after a second roll. I just never gotten that to work, so... I think this is the first Dark Knight we fight all run. Huh, weird. These guys are really easy, though. Actually, yeah, I think this is the only Dark Knight we fight all run. Basically, okay, so we're aiming at the left side of that pillar there and standing in this diamond so that as soon as the cutscene ends, we can just immediately throw a boomerang and get up onto the platform. It'll douse the torch or whatever with wind. Douse with wind, that makes sense. Yeah, so the way Dark Knights work is you don't want to target them. You want to slash to get them to bring their sword up and then go behind them and hit them like 5 times. And then do it again, basically. It's more or less how it works. And same when they have their armor on still. You can also kill him in the second phase with ball and chain, but it's a little harder, and if he doesn't block you, then you should just do stabs at the... or not stabs, but almost lashes at that point. So that's a little bit of a complicated strat that's hard for me to explain very easily. Basically, you pull out a bomb immediately, you walk forward until they perk up, then you stop, and then you like wait for them to start moving again after you stopped, I think. And then you start moving and throw it at them. And then basically they just die. Something like that. That guy's same general idea as the first Arelphos, except he has significantly less health. So you can kill him in one cycle like that. And that's done by pulling out the ball and chain like right before he hits the ground. It's really not that bad. You just gotta keep targeting him. Anyways, now we get a nice cutscene. Just to get ready right before the final boss. Yeah, I don't know. Final boss being Tower Kappa. Not gonna lie, Tower Ascent is rough. It is very rough. Generally, you just practice the hell out of it until it you just never fail it. But anyways. There's a bunch of like kinda dumb strats in there that can all go wrong. And pretty much everybody voids in Tower. I've always joked that that's how we validate runs. Is we just look in Tower and see if somebody voided, and if they voided, it's not a splice. Kappa. Alright. So yeah, basically what we do here is we roll, pull out our sword in midair, and then continue to roll without going diagonally across platforms. Unfortunately, I am bad. And I don't know why that didn't work. I'd have to rewatch it, but I'm not about to. Yeah, as long as you don't diagonally roll, like from one falling block to another, then it's fine. You want to like kind of go across multiple diagonally rather than just two. What I'm saying is don't cross exactly at the corners, basically. Anyways, those claw shots are hard. I don't know how I got those so fast. These guys you can kill with a single jump spin, although it's kind of annoying to do. And then as long as the spinner isn't at the exact top or bottom, you're good to go. The spinner there. And then here we can just claw shot from far away and skip the cutscene. Like a little after claw shot. You don't want to skip it immediately, because then you'll have to fight the Dark Knot, because you'll hit the wall. But anyways. This is a pretty solid high roll. I forget what all I messed up. I'm trying to think. There wasn't really anything I could point to. I guess kickable with 4 is about it. Like some minor stuff. I don't know. I guess Dark Knot fight must have been bad. Whatever. Anyways, this is the main RNG of the run that sucks. The end. Probably the worst bit of RNG in any percent, although Bow and Stalwart are no joke. This, you're just totally at the whim of the RNG. There's like nothing you can do really to manipulate this. Or at least not knowing what you're doing manipulating it. The best you can hope for is a 7 cycle without any triangles, where she just, so it would be lightning dash, lightning, with not very much time in between attacks. So right now, of course, I'm off to a pace for a 7 cycle Zelda, which is the best you can get. Usually, I think 8 is about average, or like, I don't know, average is a bad term, because it probably gets dragged up, but 8 is probably the mood. Like 9 is probably average. I don't know. But it's definitely possible to get some, like, really terrible Zeldas that are, like, 13 cycles or something. So you can tell if there's going to be a triangle because you won't be able to turn your camera with the right stick left or right. That way you can know if it's going to be a triangle or a dash. You can't really use anything to distinguish between dash and energy ball unless you know it can't be energy ball. Anyways, that was a 7, and it was a fast 7, so I got extremely lucky. Yeah, usually you have to get several runs on very good pace, which technically I did get several ones on very good pace that all could have been mid 326s until this one finally gave in. Eventually it'll work and everything will line up like this run. If we had Bow, Beast Cannon would be nicer, but it's fine. Basically how this works is we just use Ball and Chain to knock him down the first couple times. It's faster than throwing him with Wolf and transforming twice. And then we do Jump Slash, 4 attacks, and then a full combo after that. And what that does, if we do that both times, if we get the right amount of damage both times, he will not, like, warp around multiple times for portals. That's why it's very important to get the right amount of damage, that you don't have to lose a bunch of time. It makes this time for killing him extremely consistent at like a 106-ish in any percent pretty much every single time. In all dungeons, you save about 2 seconds to being able to dodge the Beast Cannon guy by using bow and arrow. So that saves, like, makes it, I think, a 104. I don't remember, though. Anyways, easy fight. This is the hardest part of the final boss gauntlet. This is where a lot of runs can die, and it can be completely your fault. I made a minor mistake here. I think that lost about 7 seconds or something like that, so... Oh well. Must have been more like 9. So he goes the right way here. There's like a 60% chance he goes this way, and then I shouldn't mess this up. But my aim was bad because he turned a little that I wasn't quite expecting at the very end there. If he goes any other direction at the beginning, you lose 6 seconds because you have to spin right after each time you hit Ganondorf. But if he goes this direction, it should get you like 314, 315 pace if you've done everything else correctly. But I messed it up, so lost a little time from missing one. And by the way, it's about 107 or 108 with a perfect final fight if you, like, from whenever you get the final hit on horseback. If anybody wants to know how, like, we can tell what time a run is going to be after we beat horseback Ganon. And that's, of course, because the final phase here is, well, let's just say it's easy. Actually, no, there's a better way to put this. The final phase lasts exactly 13 seconds, so there you go. Exactly. And that's with Iron Boots. 3 jump spins. Boots. Dead. Yeah, the only hard jump spin to get, quote-unquote hard, it's still extremely easy, is the one where you have to slash him so that you can get the first jump spin. The other two are super easy, so anyways. Yeah, Iron Boots, because we have to put on Iron Boots, otherwise the run is fake Kappa. Anyways, I think that's it. Very good run. I think I discussed most everything I wanted to. My PV goes into more depth about where I lost time, but suffice it to say, the only really bad room in the run, everything else was great. The only bad room in the run was Po 3. So, anyways, I think that's good enough, and I will stop the recording. I hope this was pretty good post-commentary. Anyways, bye.